destruction of property was wrong, and then you said but the American flag.
Right. Like
Yeah,
there's gonna be like a couple aspects here. So like when we're referencing like what occurred like at the Capitol, like we're gonna like look at it in a very multifaceted manner. Okay. So it's like the destruction of property and the vandalism of like like the insert like of like I don't know, like the statues down there. Like of course that's gonna be illegal. There should be civil penalties for this. But I don't think that we should conflate between that and like the destruction of the American flag, particularly that is constitutionally protected, or just the freedom to protest. That's also constitutionally protected, right? And just on the larger picture here, I think if we could wrap this back into the conversation of Harris v. Trump, no, Harris didn't cause anything that happened at the Capitol yesterday. The Biden-Harris administration has particularly sent funding to Israel, which I bet every single person at that protest yesterday vehemently disagrees with. Okay, including myself. I also disagree with that. The
I
only
know.
reason I'm voting for Harris is because she's the lesser of two evils in that respect, comparing her to Donald Trump, who says that he's the most pro-Israel president ever, right? And I don't think that you can make a good argument for comparing this to the insurrection upon the Capitol, which Trump had people sign up for on his Twitter page, and which Trump denied the outcomes of said election with no evidence, even though it was disproven by 60 courts, and tried to get his VP not to certify the results of the election, and try to send fake electorates to states to cast false votes in the Electoral College. There's no comparison to be made there.
So you're okay with voting for Harris, even though that she is voted the most liberal senator in the Senate back in 2019?
I mean, of course, I'm going to be okay with voting for her. Can you detail to me specifically why she's the most liberal individual
No,
within
but
the Senate, and how
I
this
can
would
send
impact
you
her policy
evidence.
negatively for the American people?
I can give you evidence that she's the most liberal senator in the Senate back
Yeah,
in
no, I know what you're
2019.
referencing. She was ranked as that, but like,
Yeah.
I think that our
And
conversation should extend.
that website has been since deleted, just to let you
I
know.
I know I saw that too.
Yeah.
So I think
So
that our
why do you think it's
conversation.
deleted? Can I ask
Why
you
do
why it's deleted?
I don't know why it's deleted. We could engage in speculatory hearsay, but like my point here is, if you're saying, well, you're not going to vote for him because she's a Marxist leftist, as Donald Trump likes to put it, well, you're going to have to detail to me on how her extreme Marxist leftist takes are going to specifically impact her policy. And like the baseless and the baseless profiling of her because of these keywords. But Law of the Wild, I mean, I wanted to allow you like ample opportunity to go over whatever you wanted with Nick A30, specifically on like the burning the American flag or the protesting. So like maybe if you had anything else to add on here, I just want to give you that opportunity.
No, I'm good. I'll drop back down, but just regarding the liberal senator, she represented California. I mean, she's going to represent the interests of her state. California has a lot of progressive policies. We've seen her platform for president when she was running there. I imagine it's going to be an extension of that and the policies. But to go and cast aspersions based off of her representation of as a senator, I don't think is fair, because now she's running to represent the whole country. So land my plane. I'll drop back down. Feel free to bring me back up if needed.
Hey, man, thank you so much for coming up. Also, that last point was great. I didn't even think about that. I'm glad you said that out loud. Guys, let's get some W's for Laws in the chat. Also, Sheila, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. That is absolutely so kind of you. Thank you so much for the love, Sheila. Massive W Sheila's in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. If anyone else in here wants to support me, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are in the bio. I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. But he actually left as well. He ran. We're going to move on to our next guest here, so let's get some W Laws and some W Sheilas. If you are voting for Trump, make sure to let me know in that chat. And you know what? Also, Law, if you're still watching, man, I would love to like have you up here more, like maybe like longer like co-host. I think that you're incredibly smart and you have so much to add to these conversations. But what's up, Mason? How old are you?
I'm 14.
Okay, well, you can't vote. Goodbye. We're going to move on to our next guest here. All right. We're going to move on to our next guest here, y'all. Everyone just give us a minute. The fetus got glitched into the live there for a minute. I was kind of scared. All right, guys, if you are a fetus, sorry, no, not if you're a fetus. If you are a Trump supporter, if you're voting for Trump in November, make sure to let me know in that comment section, y'all. We're going to go and pull up our next individual for debate. What's up? How old are you?
39.
39. Are you driving right now?
Sorry, 30. Yeah, 39. No,
Okay,
not driving.
Okay, awesome. Are you voting for Trump?
Yeah,
Okay, why so?
I am now. Wasn't gonna, but I am now.
Okay, why so?
Because the Democrat Party is shiesty, dude.
Okay, what do you mean?
They're shiesty. They hid from the American people that you had a declining president.
They hid from the American people. They had a declining president.
Yep. 10 days ago, he said, or 10 days prior to backing out, he said at a summit, "I am staying in front of a lot of people." Right. 10
So
days later, he backs out. They hit it, dude.
Yeah, so I think the reason that he backed out wasn't because of like cognitive decline. In fact, I think the reason that he backed out was specifically because he knew that he couldn't beat Trump in the election, and he wanted to protect and preserve our democracy by stepping down and allowing Harris to run when she has a greater chance to win than him.
That wasn't it. It was because he was a declining, feeble old man, and he was getting old, and they know.
Okay, well, on one hand, I think it's absolutely hilarious that the only arguments you have against the Democratic platform still pertain to Biden and in his supposed mental states. Like, I don't think the Republicans know what to do now because they're out of fucking ammunition. You have nothing to say about Harris.
What do you mean they're out of ammunition?
One second, sir. Because she's the prosecutor.
What do you mean they're out of
He's the
ammunition?
prosecuted. All of a sudden, it was about how, like, Biden's too old. Biden has cognitive decline. This is the oldest presidential nominee that our country has ever had. Look at this old man, and then look at Mamala over here.
Biden drops out.
I just
now
think
you say that.
Oh yeah.
Biden
Look at
drops
this
out,
old
and now
man.
You say that.
Look at this old man. He's the oldest presidential
Biden drops
candidate
out,
that
and now
we've
you say
ever
it, dude?
had.
You
I
are
know.
such a fraud.
Look at this
You are
old man.
such a fraud. You are such a fraud. You're a fraud, dude.
Dude, obviously I'm going to be saying this just because this is what the Republicans said about Trump. Obviously I'm saying so in a hyperbolic, facetious, satirical
You mean
manner.
what they said? You mean they said it about Biden, not Trump?
So, like, particularly when Biden was in the race, I'd still take him over Trump because I'll take the old man with mental decline, with the good policy that cares about the American people, over the old man
So let me ask you this.
delusional with a bad policy that attempted to overthrow our democracy, committed 34 felonies, and raped a woman. And honestly, he's on a cognitive decline, sir. And like Trump, I think we need to point that out too.
How did Hocktua get her her job as a
hey, why do you call her
prosecutor?
Because
she's the original Hocktua girl. She's the original Hocktua girl. I don't know. Why don't you ask Willie Brown and Montel Williams, dude? You want to go after character on Trump all the time. Let's go after character.
Okay.
How did she get her jobs?
First of all, I just want to go ahead and let it known to every single
Willie
person watching,
Brown,
including
dude.
yourself.
Willie Brown, dude.
Hey, sir, excuse me. Allow me one moment to talk here. Thank you. So I just want to make it known to yourself. Lindsay, thank you so much for the $15 on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love. Let's get some W. Lindsays in that chat. Thank you so much for the love. Brown? No, I will. I'm just reading off a dono. Thank you for the love, Lindsay.
60-year-old man going out with a 30-year-old woman. You don't think that's disgusting?
Okay, so just to clarify.
You talk about that all the time. You say it's disgusting.
So just
Is it not disgusting because it's her?
So just to clarify here, when this 40-year-old man sexualized a fifth grader by saying that he was going to be dating her in 10 years, was that gross?
No. Answer my question first. Don't deflect.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and engage in your misinformation. So first of all,
it's misinformation now.
So first of all that you're engaging in here is sexism. It's misogyny. Right? Like, the right has absolutely thank you for the $5 on Venmo. The right has absolutely, ran out of ammunition, right? Insofar as why they're not going to be voting for Harris. So now you just have to engage in classic fucking misogyny. Right? And Sarah, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. I appreciate you so much for the love. Let's get some W tears in the comment section. Thank you so much for the love. I really appreciate you. And then secondly, I don't think that we have any evidence to assume that she slept with these two men. But even if we did, what the fuck is the issue here? A 30-year-old woman engaging in intercourse with her consent with two men. I mean, I think it's gross that you try to make an issue out of this when it is the case. When it is the case that Trump was held legally responsible for engaging in intercourse with a woman without consent. He raped a woman, and you don't find issue with that. But apparently Harris engaged in intercourse with two men with consent, and all of a sudden you find a big issue. Please explain to me that one.
I have an issue with Trump doing what he did, dude. But I'm not somebody that hides behind a glass house. You are, because you're okay.
So do you think that Trump had great? Do you think that Trump is a rapist?
I think Trump did SA, yeah.
So you'd vote for someone that was held legally responsible for grape?
He didn't grape anybody, though. You're just
Charlie,
making that
thank you for the $4 and the 20 cents on Venmo. So yes, he did particularly grape Eugene
By
Carroll.
your definition, not his, or not the law. It's not the law. It's your definition. Clarify that to your people.
So first of all,
it's your definition.
So first of all, it is by the definition of the law.
So the
law in the state of New York was updated
to
reflect.
definition.
The
It's a
law
deemed definition.
The law in the state of New York was updated to reflect.
You're a fraud, dude. You're such a you do it. It's so crazy how you.
The law in the state of New York was updated to reflect how I define the term grape in the year 2023, alongside the law of 25 other states.
You're making it up, Dean.
No,
you're a fraud, dude. Heels up, Harris ain't winning.
Okay, I'm actually not making that up.
You're making it up.
Okay. Well, so how does
who's Willie Brown? Can you answer me who Willie Brown is? Who is he, by the way? Who was he?
Before we pivot to that, I would like to engage.
Who was? No, it's not a pivot. It's the original topic that you deflected from.
Before we engage in that, I would like to engage in your claims that I'm a fraud and I'm spreading misinformation when I'm particularly defining grape here. So can you please tell me how New York currently defines what grape is? And also, Joseph, thank you for the $20 on Venmo. Joseph says, keep it up. Thank you so much for the love, Joseph. I really appreciate that. Guys, let's get some W. Josephs in the chat for the $20 on Venmo.
Dean,
I think that is
Willie
incredibly
Brown?
kind of you. Thank you so much for the love. I really appreciate that, man.
Away
Let's
from
get
our
some massive W.
conversation.
Josephs.
Who's Willie Brown? Don't deflect and then put it on Trump. We already know what you say about Trump's character and what you say. Who's Willie Brown?
So I understand what you're saying here is
who is he?
So Willie Brown was an American politician. He served as a senator of some
so he was pretty high up, huh?
Yeah.
And if anybody wanted to get high up and get themselves made to where they were maybe like an attorney general of a state, what would they do?
They'd work.
What would they do, Dean?
They'd work for it.
Yeah, they do work for it, don't they? They do work for it normally. But what did she have to do? She just had to show up on a couple dates, dude. She had to go out with the guy. She had to see wrinkly old things and grossness, and she's a pig.
So
I don't care what you say.
Okay, so this is incredible to hear.
No,
I think
not. It's the truth.
Hey,
these are facts, weirdo.
Can you give me any evidence for your hypothesis?
You hate facts? What do you mean? Google it. If she went out with Willie Brown, it'll say yes, she did. Google
so how do you
it,
know?
kid.
Because she went out with him that meant that she was using him to grow politically speaking?
I don't know. Maybe the fact that she just gained all that stuff in politics after she went out with him. Maybe. I don't know.
Wait,
maybe.
I know, but can you please demonstrate to me that she particularly gained public notoriety specifically within politics because she went out with him?
Dude, what else would she go out with him for? He's 60 years old and he's not a very great looking dude. What else would she go out with him for?
How old is Melania?
Oh, I'm not saying it's not weird on his end, but she's not a politician helping him go up in the polls, bro.
Wait, so
she's using the polls to go up in the polls. You know what I mean?
Okay, so okay, thanks for not answering my question. So I
just did tell you. I answered it. I said I don't care. Trump did nothing with Melania. Melania was just his wife. He used her for what? Just because she's pretty, probably. He likes a good-looking girl next to him.
Oh my God, bro!
Right?
So you're engaged.
Right?
Oh my God.
And how
so
Melania?
I'm trying
She's
to.
young too. It's weird.
I'm gonna go ahead and just try to address your insane fucking sexism.
Is it insane?
So first of all, man, back, you have not allowed me to speak the entire time that you've been up here.
Isn't it dumb?
Am I gonna have to forcefully put you on mute?
You did mic mute me, you weirdo. You already did it.
So the reason that I have to mic mute you so I can get a fucking word out, I'm gonna put you on mic mute once. I'm not gonna press the button more than once. If you take yourself off of mute and interrupt me while I'm trying to explain to you what you're saying is incorrect, right? Unfortunately, I will have to move on to the next guest.
I
want to. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to. See, that's how you try to run away. When the script doesn't fit, when you meet someone smarter than you, you will do anything to get dropped because you don't want to be running away with your tail in between your legs. In fact, not only am I not going to drop you, but I'm going to keep my hands in the air. So if you drop yourself, everyone watching will know what happens. See how that works? Isn't that funny, ladies and gentlemen? He doesn't know what the fuck to say. He knows that I'm smarter than him, so he will interrupt me every single time I speak, and then when I make a boundary clear that if he interrupts me again, I'm going to drop him, then he's like, drop me. That's how it works. So anyways, just to go ahead and finish what I was saying, I think it's hilarious that you're sitting here telling me that, oh, obviously Harris, right, only got to where she was at by sleeping with men, when it is the case that the public offices in this country, regardless of this level, are dependent upon the votes of the constituents because we live in a democracy. Did her sleeping with Willie Brown get her the votes necessary to serve as a senator for the state of New York? Motherfucker, it's just misogyny, and that's the facts, sir. Right? You see a woman, and you are terrified because you recognize that she is more intellectual than Trump. She's more entertaining than Trump. She has more charisma than Trump. She knows more about what she's talking about than Trump. You recognize that she's the prosecutor, he's the prosecuted, and then you ignore his racism, you ignore his misogyny, you ignore his threat to the American people as well as to our democracy. You ignore the fact that he's a rapist. You ignore the fact that he's a felon. And then you're like, oh, misogyny. The only reason she got to the position she's in right now is because she slept with men. And it's gross, sir.
It's literally how she got her positions. If you don't, like, the only reason you said I'm going to run with my tail between my legs. No. The only person between legs is Kamala Harris trying to
Wait, I'm so sorry. How does someone become a senator? By sleeping with a man or getting her constituents to vote for her?
You guys put her in. She didn't ever get one primary vote ever in her history.
We're particularly talking about her serving as a senator for California.
Because Willie Brown endorsed her.
Wait, so would you say that when she particularly got to that position?
I would say that she always had help because she was always on the polls trying to go up on a poll. That's what I would say.
Okay. Hey, Law, what's your perspective of this? I saw that you hopped back in the guest request.
Yeah, I'm a little curious. So what position did she have before she was a senator?
Did she have before she was a senator?
Yeah, what was her role before she was a senator?
Willie Brown's nightly how you doing?
Okay, misogyny aside, she had another elected job before she was a senator. Do you know what that was?
What was it?
She was Attorney General of California.
Yeah, that was all because of Willie Brown.
Willie Brown. What role did Willie Brown have? What was his title?
No response.
Hello?
He was a mayor of San Francisco from 96 to 04.
Oh, you threw him a life.
Am I not talking? That's my bad. I don't know if my mic was working.
Sure.
What did you ask me? I'm sorry, because I did answer.
Yeah, didn't even hear.
In any case, so then before she was AG, she had another role. What was her other elected role?
Listen, her career started with Willie Brown, bro. What year did she do it? What year was Willie Brown? Do you know?
Willie Brown, he stopped being mayor in 2004.
Yeah, what year? Hold on, give me a second. I got called.
Oh, he seems quite scared of you, Law.
I don't know.
I'm not scared at all. The dog was right. I'm going to show you. The dog was too far. I had to call him back. And I didn't
also, Abby, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love, Abby. Let's get some Abby's in the chat for the $10.
So
okay.
What year did she do the thing with what year did she start seeing Willie Brown again? 90 what? 2? I think 93.
Yeah, I couldn't care less about that because Willie Brown's influence in the 2010 AG's race.
Of course you don't.
Well, you're pinning her entire career on one former mayor of a city.
Tell me something besides hiding evidence that she did as her roles as a senator and as an attorney general. You explain to me how she got those roles and what she did to get them.
She instituted a ton of programs. I'm not going to run down them. She had a lot of diversionary programs. She increased the prosecutions of violent criminals from the mid 50s to the upper 60s. But the point of this is she won district attorney in 2003. She had 80,000 people vote for her. How many of them did she have to sleep with in order to get their vote?
She had to get endorsed by Willie Brown, and Willie Brown went around and helped her out. Dude, what do you mean?
So does every woman who rises in politics who gets endorsed by a male, is that inherently mean that it was because of a sexual relationship to you?
Because a lot of them, they actually, all the women that that we know about, this might be the only one that I think rode poles to get there.
Wait, I have a question.
Donald Trump has a story like this.
Donald Trump endorsed her. Does that mean that she slept with Donald Trump?
Donald Trump was a Democrat. You never know, Dean. You never know. You never know.
He's not a serious person.
You never know, bro. What do you mean? It's Donald Trump. I mean, he's been at a lot of parties and stuff. Sometimes There's no cameras. Nobody knows nothing.
Yeah,
Who knows what consenting adults do, right? I mean, he was what?
India,
like
thank you for the galaxy. Thank you for the love.
He was
so
like
sorry.
40 years
No.
older,
She'd actually
right?
have standards. She'd have standards. Sorry, sweetheart.
What do you mean?
Anyways,
standards?
I mean, like, you're like absolutely unable to engage in conversation with a lot of the
No,
wild
you're
here.
unable
You are
to
out of
tell
your
me.
water. Mel, thank you so much for the epic GG. I appreciate you for that love, Mel. Thank you so much. Yeah, and like, I think we do know that she wouldn't sleep with Trump because she had standards. I don't know. This guy.
Did she have standards though? Or was it just gold digging too? Montel Williams a little bit rich for her blood, wasn't he?
Listen, I think it's honestly like really
we're not
sad.
Talk about that.
What?
You're awful. The way you deflect and defend
you're
these people is awful.
misogynistic. PIG.
Have I defended one thing about Trump? No. All you
this is just vapid sexism, and I want to explain this to you if you will allow me to speak without interruption. Mark, thank you so much for the future. Like, man, please don't interrupt me while I'm speaking here. That's all you've been doing since the moment you've been up here. Just allow me to make a statement here. It's just vapid sexism, okay? Because all that you've been speaking about since the moment you got on the live is how Kamala over here engaged in consenting intercourse as an adult with another adult. And you are saying that this is ultimately the reason why she is an individual that is not deserving of support, that is not deserving of respect, and shouldn't even be running for president of our country. But then you will turn around and you'll say, this man who is proven to have raped a woman in the 90s is deserving of respect and should run our country. And you might even say that he's the best president in modern U.S. history. You'll look at the man who sexualizes a fifth grader, says that he wants to date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years, ignore it, then turn around and say that this woman doesn't have standards. You're going to look at the man who committed 34 felonies, and then you're going to be taking a look at the woman who puts felons in jail as a prosecutor, and you're going to be saying she's the one that we shouldn't respect as a member of the party of the law and order, sir. It's just gross how far you will go to show your bigotry, your sexism, your misogyny on wide display for everybody. And the Republican Party, MAGA supporters, they've been trying to keep this on the down low. They will deny and contest claims that they're bigoted, that they're misogynist, that they're sexist, that they're racist, that they don't like anyone who doesn't look like them, that they support the marginalized communities. All that we needed was for a incredibly intelligent, well-accredited, and capable black woman to run for president, and now it all comes out.
Dean, the only reason why I'm going after her character is because that's all you do to Trump. You attack character. And Trump's a piece of crap, dude. I agree with you. But so are other politicians. You got to stop polishing these people. Stop. They're all bad.
You are not in a position of moral authority to look at me and virtue signal when you're supporting the grapist felon election denier that told a 10-year-old girl that he was going to be dating her in 10 years, boasted about walking into the change rooms of half-naked teens at Miss Teen USA because he owned the place where there being half-naked girls as young as 15 there, right? Went on Access Hollywood and boasted about grabbing women without consent by the P word, right? Said that all women who get abortion should be imprisoned, saying that the most detrimental thing that can happen is when he comes home and his wife hasn't made him dinner, or saying that the most beautiful thing that could happen to anyone is pregnancy.
Dean,
and you are not in a position of authority to sit here and tell me that I'm the one polishing these corrupt, morally bankrupt politicians.
Polish, dude. All you do is polish politicians. I don't polish them. I think Trump's a piece of shit too. I do.
Why
do you not listening?
So if the Epstein files that were released on Trump were true, like he raped, imprisoned, and tortured 13-year-old Kitty Johnson, if that was true, would you still vote for him?
I don't know. Whose definition of grape is it? Is it yours or the real one?
What's the difference between my definition of grape and the quote-unquote real one?
Because because your definition is different than the actual definition of rape.
I'm asking you if he imprisoned, tortured, and engaged in intercourse with a 13-year-old. I'm asking you if you'd still vote for him.
No, I would never vote for him if he did all this weird stuff. I don't really like the fact that you have to vote for him.
Okay, so you wouldn't vote for him if he raped a child, but you would vote for him if he raped an adult woman?
Because he didn't, and that's what I'm saying. You're just making that up. That part you make up.
No,
that's made up, Dean. That's your definition, dude.
He was held civilly responsible for the grape.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If somebody, if I'm walking down the street and I smack a female in the ass, right? and she turns around and presses charges and says it was grape. And because we can just define it any way we want, do you think that's okay? That's what I go down for is grape, or is that just SA?
Did you digitally penetrate her when you slapped her?
No, I mean no, because you're just a slap, right? We're being realistic. We're being like, it might be a made up scenario, but it's still a realistic one.
Well, it's different than what happened with E. Jean Carroll. The jury found him liable for digitally penetrating her vagina with his fingers.
Did that happen?
The jury found that it did.
No. They found him liable for SA. SA could be a slap on a butt, dude, and you know it. It's not a grape. That's what I'm saying.
So
it's different.
I challenge you to pull up the jury form and look at it. There's two questions.
You know it says SA.
In the jury,
you guys are awful with this.
No, let him speak.
When you look at the jury instructions for the second charge, the SA charge is that did Trump forcefully and digitally penetrate Ms. Carroll's vagina? And I'm probably going to get slapped out for that. I don't care. It's a quote from the jury instructions. The allegation and what the jury found true was that he used his fingers to penetrate her. Now, the only reason that they didn't find him guilty under New York's definition of grape at the time, which is different than 38 other states, was that she could not testify with certainty whether it was his member or his fingers. That was the only reason the jury didn't convict him on the grape charge, and they went for the SA. And in 38 states, that's grape, and that's grape currently in New York now, because they've changed their definitions. In 38 states, whenever you penetrate somebody's, without getting into too many words, private part, you have committed SA of the grape variety.
Right. Then, additionally here, if you want to defend the position that it's only grape if it's a male member entering into the female member without consent, well, then you're going to have to defend that women can't grape other women. Silence. Actual, literal, literal silence. Actual, literal fucking silence.
Something's going on with every time I go to talk. It's not letting me for some reason.
1 second. I'm going to go ahead and read out a couple donations here, so wait your turn. Jamie, thank you so much for the $25 on PayPal. I really appreciate you for the love, Jamie. That's absolutely incredibly kind of you. Let's get some W Jamies in that chat. Thank you so much for the love. And Sarah Beth, thank you for the $15 on Venmo. That is so kind of you. Let's get some W Sarah Beths in that chat. Thank you. And Effie Cal, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Brooke with the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you guys for the love. But yeah, go ahead and respond to Mr. Law and Order, Mr. Man Bad.
Yeah, you guys are defining. You're using a law. Who cares what state?
Oh, also Kelsey, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Kelsey. Thank you. Let's get some W Kelsey's in the chat. Go ahead. Sorry, Sammy. Thank you for the money again.
Yeah, I'm saying. You guys are defining, so if you're in another state, that's why we have states, because every state has different laws. Exactly what happened to, the women's right to choose, which I disagree with. I think it should have been federally legal for anybody to go to a doctor. It's between them and their doctor. I have stances that make sense, dude. What doesn't make sense to me is you trying to say grape, but it's not.
Okay, so how do you define grape?
How do I do it? I mean, he would go by the law, dude. You can't just say, because it's in New York, it was a different thing.
So there's a couple.
They couldn't accuse him.
There's a couple issues.
Do it.
There's a couple issues.
Stop saying it.
Hey, buddy. So there's a couple issues with referencing the law to define what grape is for us. So in the 90s, grape in the context of marriage, a husband engaging in intercourse with his wife without consent, that was legally defined as grape beginning in the 1990s. So would you say that a husband that chained down his wife and entered into her without consent in the 80s was a rapist?
I mean, that sucks, but no, I would say it's awful. That's a terrible thing to do. I would definitely think that the guy
is he a rapist?
Sure. But yeah, back then, sure. I mean, he would be.
Okay, but the law didn't define him as such, so you're agreeing with us here.
I mean, the law can carry. I mean, I don't. I would say it was disgusting, and I don't know why wouldn't they have a law that said that.
Right, but was he a rapist?
Yeah, it's gross. I mean, you can't just.
Okay, so he was a rapist, even though the law didn't define him as such, right?
Yeah, but that's such a different scenario, dude. You're really defining the definition of it. It's the definition.
It's absolutely
you're defining
not
the definition and saying it's the same thing.
So the reason that this isn't a different scenario at all is because you're making the argument because the state of New York didn't define what happened to E. Jean Carroll as grape in the year 2022, even though them, as well as, what was it, Law and Order, 36 other states do now, it wasn't grape. But what we understand here is that this is the same thing that occurred with unconsensual intercourse in the context of marriage, right? Beginning in the 70s, states started to adopt statewide legislation to define grape in the context of marriage, but it became federally illegal, and it applied to all 50 states beginning in the 1990s, right? And if you look at someone in the 80s that did that to their wife and define them as a rapist, we'd have no reason here not to say that Trump is a rapist.
But you said it yourself. It was inconclusive whether it was a finger or his thing, correct?
No, so the jury held him liable, and Law, you could clarify on this. The jury held him specifically liable for inserting his fingers into E. Jean Carroll's vajayjay without consent.
Correct, because under New York's law at the time, it had to be a member being inserted into somebody's sexual cavity in order for it to be grape. That was their definition of grape.
Right, and either of those two scenarios is wrong in his grape.
She kept the dress with his DNA on it, correct?
Yes.
That was her claim, yes.
Right, okay. Was her DNA on that dress with his?
I would assume so. Anytime somebody wears an article of clothing, their DNA is on it.
Yeah, right. So her DNA would have been on it too with his, correct? If that was the case, did she have it checked in that same?
Anytime anyone wears an article of clothing, their DNA is on it through dead skin cells.
And I don't mean that DNA. I mean your juices, your shit that comes out. Did she have some of that stuff saved with his stuff mixed into it?
She claimed that his semen was on the dress, sir.
Okay, well, why didn't she save everything if she saved the dress?
What do you mean save everything? What are you getting at here?
Why didn't she save if I'm a guy, right? And we obviously know as men, our shit comes out, correct? Well, if our shit came out, it came out probably close to the time he was essentially, if it was his thing or his finger, they would have known that, right? Wouldn't they have known that through the DNA?
I'm being in the area.
Because obviously she probably took underwear off, or was it still there? Do you know the details of what happened? Do you know exactly?
I don't understand what you're getting at here, at all. So just to clarify,
wouldn't the DNAs be?
So just to clarify on the dress specifically, right? She had made the claim that it had Trump's sperm on it, right? Because she had testified that he also had his pee out, and she didn't know if it was his hands, his pee, or both. And then he failed to provide his DNA to the court for 2 years for it to be tested against that on the dress.
Okay, and then I guess that's my question. Essentially, it's what.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be in the same vicinity of hers with his?
You're cutting out. You have really bad Wi-Fi. Hey, Law, thank you so much for coming back up, man. You're a beast when it comes to these more legal discussions.
My pleasure. That was mind blowing. Just to be clear as far as what the law goes, and something else that's interesting too is Trump had countersued E. Jean Carroll for defamation because he said that saying that he graped her was defamatory towards him. The judge dismissed that counterclaim and said that while it didn't meet the definition of grape under New York law, it was substantially true that Trump graped her. That was his exact quote when he dismissed it, because we have this colloquial term of grape, which any decent man or decent person would understand is that if you force yourself upon a woman in any sort of capacity and insert something into her, that's grape. That is just any reasonable person would presume it's that. New York's law was archaic and has since been updated, and it was very specific about what it had to be. And you're spot on. Under New York's old law, it would have been impossible for a woman to be convicted of grape, even if they used an object, because of the way that it was defined. And they've since updated it.
Absolutely.
No.
Oh.
No. Shit. No. Bye. Undo me.
Oh, I thought she was saying like no at you, but no, she just didn't mean to join me.
Yeah, I think it was an accident. Yeah.
But all right, yeah, no, awesome, Law. Thank you so much for informing me, and honestly, probably informing a lot of people watching the live. You're awesome, dude.
All right, love you guys. Take care.
Yeah, have a good one, man. All right, y'all, we're going to move on to our next guest here, guys. If you are MAGA, make sure to let me know in that chat. We are going to go ahead and pull up our next guest of the night. So let's go ahead and get them. Let's go ahead and get our next guest up here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're voting for Trump, right, make sure to let me know by just hopping in that queue, spamming MAGA down below in the chat. We're going to go ahead and try to get our next guest up here in the meantime, y'all. We have a couple more donations to read out here, so let me go and get those pulled up. Cam, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. And Crystal, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. Let's get some W Crystals in that chat. She says, finish him, Dean. He's making my teeth hurt. He got cooked. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much, Crystal. And then Leon, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal. Let's get some W Leons in that chat for the $10 on PayPal. I appreciate you for the love. What's up, Brian? How old are you?
I'm 21, bro. 21.
21, awesome. And are you voting for Mr. Trump?
Well, I'm not a citizen of America, but I've been...
All right. Well, I do appreciate you for coming up. However, we're just specifically looking for individuals, right, that are voting for Trump. I do appreciate you for coming up, though. Guys, make sure to let me know in the chat if you want to come up. Just spam some MAGAs down below, y'all. We're going to move on to our next guest. Also, our Faith, I see you down there. I'd love to talk to you. We're going to move on to our next guest here, y'all. Everyone just do give us a minute, guys. Also, make sure that we're double tapping away in that phone screen. Let's try to get up to 500,000 likes, ladies and gentlemen. Let's also try to get up to 500 shares here. We're going to go and get our next guest up in the live, y'all. Everyone just do be patient, y'all. And if you do want to support me, of course, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are in that bio. Hey, what's up? How old are you?
30.
30, amazing, bro. Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, I am.
Okay, why so?
Because Trump has a lot better policy on Israel and all that, and Kamala Harris does. I mean, see, they didn't do nothing about the protesters yesterday that were screaming death to Israel or anything like that. Like, we should support Israel 100%.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's go ahead and touch over this. I don't think that we should be supporting Israel 100%. Absolutely not. So, Benjamin Netanyahu currently has an arrest warrant out from the ICC. And there's been UN rights experts that have held him to believe that there's reasonable grounds to conclude that they're committing a genocide upon the Palestinian people by intentionally cutting off like food and trade routes, starving the innocent Palestinian individuals. They've bombed schools, churches, hospitals, universities. They've unalived thousands, tens of thousands of innocent Palestinian civilians. There's absolutely no reason why we should be unconditionally supporting them in their effort to genocide the Palestinian people and ethnically cleanse them from the area. The same thing that they've been doing since the 1940s, when we saw them displace 750,000 Palestinians from their homes.
So did you at least watch what he had to say yesterday on Capitol Hill? Because he laid out all that information that there's a lot of misinformation that is being thrown towards him.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I can't quite understand you the best, and I want you to make it, I want to make it understood that is absolutely no fault of your own. I am going to go ahead and move on to the next guest. I do appreciate you for coming up here, voice on how you feel. Yeah,
You're not going to debate me? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, and it's absolutely, it's not your fault, and there's nothing
No, you should be able to debate me whether or not I got a speech problem or not, because y'all act like every person has a voice, but all of a sudden you don't want to debate me like that. that just shows me what kind of person you are. You're a complete asshole and do not deserve to have this platform whatsoever if you're gonna be like that. But thank you for whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, you know what I can do? I guess let's go and continue to have a conversation. The only reason I said that, and first of all, as I clarified prior, there's absolutely like no issue with like particular like problems that would apply to your speech. Like I want to make it like known that like I'm not saying that is like anything wrong there. It was just particularly because I couldn't quite understand what you're saying, as I feel that would impede upon the productivity of a conversation that we can have, right? But maybe I could try to like just listen a little bit closer so we can try to have a productive dialogue, right? So you're saying that you support Trump because he's more pro-Israel than the Biden-Harris administration. I think that being pro-Israel is bad.
No, because, okay, why do you think we should support Ukraine?
Oh, why we should support Ukraine? Well, because of the Budapest Memorandum in the 90s.
Because they're one of our allies. Is that not correct?
So they're not one of our allies in a conventional sense. They're part of NATO. However, we did sign the Budapest Memorandum with Ukraine in 1996, basically stating if they were to give up their nukes, then what we would do is we defend them if they were invaded.
Exactly.
So they gave up their nukes and they got invaded, and now we're defending them.
Exactly. We keep our word to countries that we try to have an alliance with, and Israel is the only country in the Middle East that supports America. Everybody else wants to sing death to America, and y'all do not understand that.
Yeah, so the reason I don't think that we should have an unconditional allyship with Israel is because they're committing a genocide of innocent Palestinians. They're destroying schools, churches, universities. They've intentionally, right, the UN rights experts held them accountable for intentionally starving the innocent Palestinian public by cutting off food and trade routes, right? We're seeing tens of thousands of Palestinians displaced from their homes. This has been occurring since the late 1940s, right? What I personally think is that Israel is absolutely using the atrocities that occurred on October 7th to justify the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. Right? They even came out publicly and said that there's no such thing as an innocent Palestinian. Right? I also think it's the case that if like the argument goes as follows, that no, they're not committing a genocide of the innocent Palestinian people, and if it was on U.S. land, well, this would be on my following question. If it was on U.S. land that there were like terrorists hiding in the homes, schools, churches, like universities, etc., of like U.S. citizens, would we bomb them, killing the U.S. citizens alongside the terrorists, or would we send in special like operative teams to particularly just take out the terrorists?
We gotta do whatever to kill the terrorists.
Yes, but would we send in like special operative teams to just take out the terrorists, or would we bomb the schools, churches, houses, etc., also killing the innocent civilians?
So, you know that they are sending out text messages to all the citizens of Palestine to warn them to get out of harm's way.
With all due respect, can you answer my question?
What? Yes, we would send in special operations, and that's what they're trying to do. Innocent people will always die in war.
Okay, so yeah, you just said that if it was on U.S. soil, then we would spend in special operation teams to just take out the terrorists. But because it's not on U.S. soil, and because they're in Palestine, you have to necessarily devalue the lives of the innocent Palestinians to justify Israel's use of force, just bombing these places, killing the innocent civilians alongside the terrorists.
Why did they let Hamas take control of their country?
Could you repeat that for me, sir?
Why did they let Hamas take control of their country?
Yeah, because they were fighting for freedom through the use of nonviolent means until October 7th.
They voted for Hamas to become empowered.
And does that justify their deaths?
Yes.
Get the fuck off my live. Get the fuck off my live. That is so fucking disgusting. Get the fuck off my live. We're gonna go to move on to our next guest. Y'all could turn back on the comment section. Keep the ableism out of my comment section. Keep the fucking ableism out of my comment section. But like whoever turned it off, please turn it back on. Like ableism is not fucking ableism is not fucking acceptable, right? Regardless of what a person says. Like, yeah, that dude was a piece of shit, but he wasn't a piece of shit because of his particular the particular conditions that impacted his speech. Right? He was a piece of shit because he thought that the deaths of innocent Palestinians was justified. So don't be ableist towards him in my comment section. Right? We all have to, do better, be better people. That is absolutely and unequivocally unacceptable. But that was fucking gross. Are you kidding me? Saying that, yeah, the deaths of the innocent Palestinians, including the children, was justified because they voted Hamas into power in the 80s. Bro, be so fucking for real. What's up, Devin? How old are you? All right, Devin's not here. Guys, if you want to come up and debate, just let me know in that comment section. We're going to move on to our next guest here, y'all. Everyone just do be patient. We're going to try to get Zandra up in the live, y'all. Everyone just give us a minute here. What's up, Zandra? How old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20. Are you voting for Trump?
I'm kind of in between right now. I'm between Kamala Harris and Trump. I've recently seen that in one of her videos that she went to one of the states, I think it was LA, for gay rights. And I'm a huge believer of the LGBTQIA+. And I think for someone to go to a place where it's not there, and for her being the vice president and saying, hey, you need to put this in place, is absolutely fucking awesome.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, I hope that you end up making the right decision. I'm going to move on to the next guest since, you aren't positive that you're going to be voting for Trump. It's crazy that you'd say that you'd vote for Trump as a support of the LGBTQ plus community, but I appreciate you for your view. I just recommend maybe watching the live a little bit more and coming to your own conclusion. It sounds like you'll probably end up voting for Harris if you're rational. We're going to move on to our next guest here. I do appreciate you for coming up, though. Guys, make sure if you are in the guest requests that you are specifically voting for Trump. We are just looking for debates with individuals that are. At this point, we're going to move on to our next guest, y'all. And once again, if you do want to support me, all right, well, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are in my bio. Y'all already know. We are going to go ahead and move on to our next guest, y'all. So everyone just do give us a minute. What's up? How old are you?
I'm 19.
Awesome. Are you voting for Trump?
I am.
Okay. Why so?
I agree with a ton of his policies.
What's one policy that Trump influenced to get passed that you agreed with?
Definitely abortion, especially as a woman.
So what's the name of the policy?
What do you mean? Like how he is pro-life?
Okay, so he didn't pass any pro-life policy. He did elect individuals to the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade, putting the rights to bodily autonomy and integrity for all 170 million American women at risk, destroyed the family unit, shifting the dynamic from financially sound adults that desire to have children and raise them to forcing 18-year-old girls that get pregnant to provide their bodily resources to another individual for 9 months without consent. It only increases rates of poverty, decreases levels of education, income. So why do you like that?
So I believe that it is your job to educate yourself before consenting to sex and understand that if you consent to sex, that if it's unprotected, the risk of doing that is pregnancy. And I think that it's not your job, because I think for a party who prioritizes life and protecting each other's life, unless it's a child in the womb who can't defend itself, I don't understand the connection there.
And what if they don't consent?
There's 5% abortions where it was grape.
Do you think that they should have access to abortion?
No, I don't, but there's only 5% of people who are SA and get abortions in America from 12 to 45.
So why shouldn't rape victims have access to abortion?
I think it's terrible that would happen to somebody. And that's traumatizing to people, but that's not the baby's fault. It's really not. And that's terrible that happened to somebody, but I don't think they should have to keep the baby. I just don't think that they should take the life.
Okay, yeah, we have so many things to go over. I just don't meet someone as radical as you often. So first of all, I want it to
radical.
I want it to be very known that you are a harm to women. You are.
I am a woman. Define woman.
A woman that is a harm to women.
Define woman.
Do you want to have a debate? I do think trans women are women, and I would personally define
no,
a woman
I'm literally asking
as an
an
adult human individual that would align with the particular social categories typical of that of females, right? But do you want to have a debate on that, or do you want to continue to talk about abortion? See, you thought that you were going to be able to dunk on me. You thought that you were going to be able to pull that Matt Walsh bullshit, ask me what a woman is, and then me not be able to define it? No. But now we're going to go back to what we were actually talking about, okay? Abortion. I'm going to go ahead and make it known to you, as well as everyone else in here, that yes, you and your beliefs and what you vote for is absolutely and insurmountably a harm to the 170 million American women and girls in the context of our country, and that is the truth. I don't feel harmed as a woman. Opting to say that victims of rape who 5%. Became pregnant should not have access to a form of health care, such as an abortion.
95% of abortions are not.
Why do you not care about 5% of women who want abortions? I get raped. I don't care. Dude, I'm going to go to make it clear. I don't care if it's 5%. I don't care if it's 4%. I don't care if it's 1%. I don't care if there's been one fucking woman in the last 100 years in our country that got raped and get pregnant. If she is denied access to health care, the blood's on your hands. So come on, continue to tell me, oh, it's just 5%. Come on, continue to tell me just because it's only happened to a few, you don't give a shit because you can't see from anyone else's perspective rather than your own. Our faith, yeah. Do you think I give a shit? Nope. Because at the end of the day, restricting access to abortion care, she left. She fucking ran because she couldn't take it. I'm going to go ahead and continue to yap just for another 30 seconds. Restricting access to abortion, right, for any woman, but particularly victims of rape, is severely detrimental, not just to the woman, but to our country as a whole, because it destroys the family units. It sets that child up for a very shitty life. We see higher rates of higher rates of poverty, lower rates of education, income, lower qualities of life, all things considered, right? You're forcing unwanted children in unready households, all because you care about life. If you cared about life, you'd be pro-choice. I'm so sick and tired of pro-lifers hiding behind this virtue signal of saying that they care about life, when meanwhile pro-life legislation serves as a detriment to life. I am pro-choice because I care about life. We are going to go ahead and move on to our next guest. She ran. She couldn't take the heat, and I was still heating up there. I was still heating up there.
Hello.
She left before things got, exciting. What's up? How old are you?
I'm 36.
Amazing. Are you voting for Diaper Don?
Say that again?
Are you voting for Diaper Don?
If that's what you call him.
Cassandra, thank you for the $5. I appreciate you for the love. Okay, why so?
My beliefs align more with him than they align more with. I'm sorry, my beliefs align more with him than they do with Kamala, and I don't think Kamala's any better.
So her name's Kamala. And she definitely is better. I just want to ask one question kind of coming out of the gate. So Mr. Abidan over here has a vehemently sexist track record with his treatment towards women. I mean, not just disrespecting them or being violent towards them or sexualizing little girls. I mean, he was held civilly liable for rape, but he said he wanted to date a 10-year-old in 10 years. Heather, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. I appreciate you for the love. Boasted about walking into the change rooms of half-naked teenage girls because he owned the place. What he's demonstrated to us is that he hasn't cared about the thoughts, wants, needs, or desires of women outside of the Oval Office in his history. So how can you expect him to effectively legislate for your thoughts, wants, needs, and desires as a woman in our country if he were to be reelected?
I actually don't feel that way because I feel like, yes, there has been things that he has said and have been things that he has done and that women and men probably see as bad behavior towards women. But honestly, like when he was in office, I mean, there was nothing against women. Like everything was pretty much good. I don't really see the whole sexist side you guys are talking about.
He elected 3 individuals, particularly to the Supreme Court, to overturn Roe v. Wade, putting the rights and as well as access to healthcare of all 170 million American women and girls at risk. Additionally, when you say you don't see his sexism, although he says he likes to unconsensually grab women by the P word, he says the best thing that can happen to a woman is pregnancy. He boasted about walking into the change rooms of teen girls at Teen USA because he owned the place where there being half-naked girls as young as 15 there. Alongside, he was literally held fucking guilty for rape in 1996, and he sexualized a 5th grader when saying that he was going to date her in 10 years. The fact that you're telling me that you can't see his sexism is out fucking standing.
Let's talk about this, because then I could go back and say a bunch of things about Biden as well, a bunch of things about Kamala, whatever you want to.
What do you want to say about her?
I could say how she kept people in jail when she was a prosecutor in California.
Oh, wow.
And you can go ahead and look that up.
Prosecutor doing her job. A prosecutor prosecuting. Terrible.
When there was evidence that could exonerate them.
Oh, you're talking about the individual on death row? So go ahead and tell me that story. I want to see what you know. Excuse me? So, yeah, what do you know about keeping an individual in jail when there's evidence that could exonerate them? Go ahead and tell me about that.
Well, she was ordered. You need to go over there. She was ordered to release that evidence that she had because she refused to do it.
Okay. So do you have a source for that?
I don't have one right this minute, but I could go and look it up.
So the reason that I asked you for a source is because that's misinformation. What you're particularly talking about is a man that was on death row, and he asked for someone was pushing for DNA to exonerate him.
Mm-hmm.
So A, they already did testing prior, and then B, she did submit the DNA for potential exoneration. Guess what? He wasn't exonerated because he was guilty. And guess what? He was never unalived on death row, and he's still alive on death row to this day.
After she was forced to. But here's the thing. She voted against doing that DNA testing.
Yo, one second. Aisha, thank you so much for the $50 on PayPal. One second. I'm reading off the dono. Aisha, thank you so much for the $50 on PayPal. I really appreciate you for that love. That is incredible. Thank you so much for the love, Aisha. Chat, please, let's get 100 W Aishas in that chat right now. Thank you so much for the love. And Brittany with the $100 on Venmo. Yo! Oh my God. I want to see at least 20 W Brittany's in that chat alongside, 200 W Brittany's in that chat alongside the W Aishas for the $100 on Venmo. That is fucking insane. Thank you so much, Brittany. Brittany says, thank you so much for standing up for women. I appreciate you to try to educate the uninformed and ignorant. Thank you so much for the love, Brittany. And Monica, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. Monica says, for standing up for women. Monica, thank you so much for your support. I love you. Let's get some W Monicas, some W Brittany's, and some W Aishas. I appreciate you all. Thank you guys so much. But I apologize for interrupting and detracting from our conversation there. I just had to show some love to the people that we're supporting. But now back on track. So yes, I'm not sure on the specifics of this claim that she denied DNA testing for an individual on death row, but what I do know is that eventually the DNA was tested. He was not exonerated, and he's still on death row to this day. But I'm thinking about what is the lesser of the evils in this situation. How do you feel about Trump particularly calling for the death penalty for dealers today, as well as he called for the death penalty of the Central Park Five who were exonerated for their crimes? And he called for the death penalty after.
When he called for that? When did he call for that?
Yeah, I'll get you a date. So that was...
I don't need the exact day. I just meant, was that something recent? Was that something back, years ago? When was that?
So the jogger case was concluded in 2022, and he called for it after, so it was pretty recent.
The jogger case, is that what you said?
We're particularly going to be referring to the Central Park Five. It was a jogger case, right? And they served between 5 and 13 years in prison, but they're all exonerated. And then he called for their death penalty after they were exonerated. In fact, he's still calling for it.
What is he saying?
That they should be put to death.
Even though they've been exonerated? I have not seen that.
Yeah, you could look it up.
I will. Going back to what we were talking about Kamala and the death row person, the thing was that someone came out and said that there may be DNA evidence that would exonerate this person, and she refused to have it tested.
Yeah, once again, you still haven't given me a source for your claims here.
Just go look it up. It's all you know, if she was right or wrong in having it tested or not, but how would you want that for somebody? Like, this person could have been innocent.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking it up. I'm actually not finding any evidence of it.
You could look up, the source that I read was from the Sacramento Bee, which is a news article from California. News article from California. And it did say that she did know that there was new DNA and that she was against having it tested.
Yeah, can you like provide me with a source by like
Yes.
particularly like finding a title and just telling me what to look up?
It was the Sacramento Bee, and
I mean, if you want to go on pause and just find that source, and I could let another individual up here in the meantime.
Okay, I could do that. But what I'm saying, it was from the Sacramento Bee. That's the source.
You're just gonna have to like give me the title of the paper as well. And Kay, thank you so much for the galaxy. I mean, like, there's like, as far as what I see right now, just Kay, there's two options. There's two things that we could do. So first of all, you could go find a source for that, and you could prove to me that that happened. Or the second route we could take is just accept that it happened and still recognize that this gives us no reason to vote for Trump. Like, I don't listen, we're going to go ahead and accept that she didn't allow for the death penalty. She didn't allow for DNA testing for a particular period of time for someone on death row, even though she eventually did give that DNA for testing. He was still found guilty and he's still alive on death row to this day. This like fucking fails in comparison to Trump like raping a woman or committing 34. 1 second, please just allow me to finish. Okay. How does this stand in comparison to Trump raping a woman? Like, just that alone. Like, we don't even need to talk about the felonies or the election denial or the serving at the top 1% at the detriment of the middle class or, like, posing a threat to our democracy, attempting to undermine it in 2020. If we just strictly isolate for Trump raping a woman, what is worse? Trump raping a woman or Kamala Harris holding off on DNA testing for a guilty man that's still alive and on death row to this day?
I didn't really follow the rape story. I could go look up more about that, but that's not the only thing like she did. Kamala also, she did the same thing with the lab where the lab had mishandled the evidence and she didn't let the defense attorneys know that. There were I don't think that's true. You'd have to provide me on it. You could go look it up. There were I think there were 1,000 cases that were dropped.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first thing that popped up here, because I did look up what you told me to. Okay. And the first thing that popped up was talking about 1,000 dropped cases from a lab. And the question is, did Kamala Harris block evidence that would have freed inmates? It's a fact check, and they say no. This is going to be coming from, let's see here, the Sacramento Bee, the same source that you gave me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And what does it say?
Yeah, it says in this that Harris denied knowing about the problems with the crime lab that triggered those dismissals.
But she was the one in charge of the prosecution office, right?
Wait, so I mean, if she was not aware of the issues within the particular D-Lab issue, why would we say that this would be like...
Because it happened under her watch. She was the one responsible for it.
If the
she was the one who would be held responsible.
If the lab with like 4,000 employees didn't tell her, why would we say that she was responsible for it?
Some of them say they did. They let that office know. But that's like me saying the Secret Service director.
She wasn't in charge of the lab. I'd say particularly speaking here, like the lab was responsible.
Yes, the lab was responsible for that evidence being mishandled. Okay, but her office knew about it. She denies knowing about it. I mean, I don't know. I don't believe it.
So could you give me a particular source that would state that her office was aware of this?
Yes, you just read it.
Where in the source does it say that her office was aware of it?
If you continue reading it.
I actually don't see anywhere in this where it would like allude to that.
Okay, all right, so I'll look up two sources for you. And the other one is, how can we trust her? How can we trust her after she looked at us? She is the closest person to Biden right now. She is the VP. She knew what Biden was going through. We all saw Biden declining. How can we trust her to not gaslight us in the future? She sat there and looked at all of us on camera and said that he was fine.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, like, first of all, when she says that he's fine to leave the country, of course this is just going to be the case because he's more fit to serve than Trump, like inspiring people to vote for Biden, which of course I think is going to be something that I think is acceptable to say. Something I would also say if I was in her position. She was just doing her job, and it was for the best of the democracy. But please tell me how you're saying that you can't trust her because she said that Biden was fine when in all reality, what she was doing here was good and doing her job when Trump told one of the biggest lies that any sitting president has ever told in 2020. He denied the outcomes of the results of the 2020 election because he was baby raging and wanted to hold on to power. He told his VP not to certify its results, and then his VP, Mike Pence, came out and said the reason he no longer supports Trump is because Trump had asked him to put Trump above the Constitution. Same story goes for the other 34 cabinet members. He said under a court of law in a deposition that he sent fake electors to states to send in false votes to the Electoral College. He inspired an insurrection upon our capital, and still to this day, he continues to not concede to the results of the election and inspires tens of millions of American citizens to have virtues of distrust in our civil and electoral processes, still trying to undermine our democracy, when 60 courts told him he had no evidence for the bullshit that was spewing out of his mouth, including 17 courts with judges that he appointed.
Okay.
And you're telling me that we can't trust Harris?
I'm telling you that I don't think she's any better.
Oh, really? So she's not better than the rapist? Not better than the rapist. She's not better than the felon. She's not better. She's not better than the individual that sexualized little girls. She's not better than the individual that denied the outcome of our 2020 election. She's not better than the racist, the individual with civil litigation against him in the 70s, particularly because this guy right here wouldn't rent housing to black people. We're also referencing here the misogynist, the person with a vehemently sexist track record. She's not better than him, truly?
Truly. What has she done for this country? She went down. How many times did she go down to the border?
Once. And then also massive pivot away from your claim that she's not better than him. I was still waiting for you to explain to me how the prosecutor is not better than the prosecuted, how the non-racist isn't better than the racist, how the non-misogynist isn't better than the misogynist, how the non-election deniers, how the non-election denier is not better than the election denier, then the non-threat to our democracy is better than the threat to our democracy, how the non-fascist is better than the fascist, how the non-Christian nationalist is better than the Christian nationalist, how the person who the person who's told a minuscule amount of lies to do their job is better than the person with 30,000 confirmed lies on their record from the first 4 years they served in office. How the person that has served on the bias Harris administration that has passed some of the most monumental legislation in modern U.S. history, such as the CHIPS and Science Act, the PACT Act, the Infrastructure, the Inflation Reduction Act, is not better than the person that only cared about him and the other 1% and passed legislation that served as a detriment for the middle class for the experience of the top 1%. How?
Honestly, there's no way I could keep up when you go off of one thing and not after another, after another, after another. So I would prefer if you could just stick to one thing. Like if you think
that's fair.
this.
That's fair. Yeah. Would you vote for someone else held legally responsible for rape?
No, I wouldn't. And I'm not. I guess I should have.
Okay, so then you're not going to vote for Trump because he was held legally responsible for rape?
I am not voting for Trump, but I'm not voting for Kamala either. And I don't think she would be best to run this country. I would probably vote RFK before I voted for either of these guys.
Jesus fuck. What does my background say?
That's exactly why I said that. But I don't think that Kamala Harris is...
Kamala.
Kamala. It's pronounced what?
Kamala.
I don't think Kamala is any better. I really don't.
Okay, you're an
I don't think she's...
supporter.
I'm sorry, hold on. I don't think she's any better as a president for this country.
You're an RFK supporter. I don't expect better out of you. Yeah,
I'm not an RFK supporter. It's just the last person on the ballot that I could vote for because I don't agree with any of them. I think it's all a sucky lineup.
You know what? You're doing a service for your country by not voting in this election year.
Yeah, for not voting for Harris. Is that what you're saying? When you can't even tell me what she's done as a VP?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, she's casted more tie-breaking votes than any VP in history.
Okay, so she's casted a vote.
which is one of the official duties of a VP, making her one of the most effective VPs we've ever had, if not the most. Not to mention JD Vance says that Harris's track record is Biden's track record. So I mean, we could talk about all the historic legislation that they passed in office, such as the Infrastructure Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, the Chips and Science Act, the PACT Act, etc. But you don't want to talk about that. And additionally, why was no one asking this question when Biden started his campaign in 2020? Because he served as a VP.
Everybody
to Obama.
was.
Can you name one thing that Mike Pence did?
No, I cannot.
Could you name one thing that Biden did as Obama's VP?
No.
Oh, okay. But now you have this high barrier of expectation.
Because
Kamala asking
go,
what she did while she was Biden's VP, and when I give you a response, you're like, that's not enough.
No, well, because I would go look into it. I mean, I haven't looked into what they've done as VP.
Well, she's not voting for Trump, so we're going to move on to our next guest. Guys, if you're MAGA, just let me know in the chat. We are only looking to talk to Trump supporters. Please don't be like her, come up here and pretend like you're voting for Trump and then come out and say that you're actually not. McCann, thank you so much for the low ground. Hey, I have a couple donations to read off here. Let me go and pull them up. Hey, what's going on? How old are you? Okay, Bible quote. Okay, they automatically left. Oh, hello, welcome back. Hey, I don't know what they're doing. They're going in and out of the app, so we're just going to move on to our next guest. Y'all, everyone just kind of give us a minute here. We're going to move on to our next guest, y'all. Everyone just do be patient. Do be patient, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get Serena up in here, y'all, so everyone just do give us a minute, y'all. Be patient, guys. Give us a minute here. Hey, what's up? How old are you? Okay, both of these people are gone. Yeah, honestly, if you want to come up and debate, just let me know in the chat. Also, guys, if you want to support me, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are in my bio. I get 100% of those proceeds. What's up? How old are you?
I'm 19.
You're 19. What year were you born in?
2005.
Are you voting for Trump?
Yeah. I just want to say...
1 second. WFS. Thank you so much for the $20 on PayPal. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get some WFSs in the chat. They say... Thanks for adamantly saying that young lady is a harm to all women. Of course, because it was true. And thank you so much for the love. And Tracy, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. It means the world. W. Tracy's in the chat. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The Republicans in this chat have been completely unhinged. We'll talk about the patriotism of fucking Donald J. Trump while he was sipping a Coke on January 6th while Ashley Babbitt was being shot, fucking murdered. And he didn't make any announcement, trying to get the rioters on January 6th to stop until hours after the destruction already occurred, hours after Ashley Babbitt died. So, I mean, there is no comparison between Donald Trump or any Democratic candidate, as he literally tried to overthrow an election. You read any of the January 6th Commission, any of the indictments, it completely lays this out to you. But none of these guys trust any report from any three-letter agency or anything like that. It's pretty insane. But, I'm actually a Democrat. I just wanted to say that Republicans are unhinged, and they have been this entire life.
Honestly, you were popping off, so I let you get it out. Thank you so much for coming out. Base guess. Dude, typically I kick people, right? If they come up and, they're obviously not voting for Trump when they agree with me. But he was kind of eating there, so I let him finish. Yeah, guess. He's eating for real. We're going to move on to our next guest. Y'all, everyone just give us a minute, guys. If you're MAGA, let me know in that chat. And Chris, thank you so much for the $1 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for that love. All right, we're going to get our next guest up in here, guys. If you're MAGA, once again, just let me know in that chat. We're going to go and load up our next guest, y'all. And Christine, thank you so much for the $6 and the 66 cents on PayPal. That is absolutely so kind of you. I really appreciate you for that love. Massive W, Christine. We're going to go and load up our next guest, y'all. Everyone just do give us a minute while we do so. What's up? I am God. How old are you?
42, brother.
42. Dylan, what's up? How old are you?
Oh, I'm 20. 2004.
I'm just going to keep y'all both on live. I'll do 1v2. Why not? All right. So, I mean, y'all could kind of fight over who talks. Let's start with I'm God. Why are you voting for Trump?
I live in Australia, actually. Don't get wrong.
Okay. Well, Dylan.
I'm not.
It's just you, man. Why are you voting for Trump, Dylan?
The economy was better. There's a lot of socioeconomic indicators to support that Trump's presidency was just better for the average American. Me personally.
How did Biden-Harris's administration cause the economy to be worse?
I mean, GDP growth. I mean, it's only 0.2% larger for Trump, but 2.1% for Biden, 2.3% for Trump. Unemployment rates.
Yeah, you're referencing like unemployment rates, GDP growth, inflation. I'm asking you how the Biden administration caused these things to be worse. Like, we'll start with inflation. How did the Biden-Harris administration cause inflation?
Those stimulus checks that were provided during COVID. Not to say Trump.
So Biden approved $1.9 trillion
stimulus checks, right?
So
but again,
Biden
let's
approved
also
1.9 trillion in stimulus.
Trump
approved 2.3
also
trillion.
Had tax cuts, not just for businesses, which, by the way, studies will show it doesn't trickle down to businesses, it trickles down to consumers, right? So when we increase taxes on business, it ultimately trickles down to consumers. And me personally, 2020, I went into the car sales world when Trump was still president. You could get a car rate 1.9 for 72 months. That was average for people with 720, 750 credit. Now, if you go to get a car, you go to get a house, you've worked for decades to build your credit 850, and you can't get a whole part of 8.9, 10%. And what that reflects is a car payment back 5 years ago on average was $200, $300 for a $25,000 car. Now it's upwards of $450, $500. The cost of living has increased, point blank, period. If you want to talk about legitimate socioeconomic indicators, let's talk about gas prices. Let's talk about the fact that gas production in America increased by 50%. It decreased by 12% under Biden. I can go on for days. I have built a list of 100 separate socioeconomic indicators that would provide factual. Let's talk about the Federal Bureau of Employment.
Do you mind if I just respond to all the points you brought up so far?
Yeah, again, and I also want to say one point. I've been in this live for a whole part of 25 minutes. You are, from what it seems like, an educated individual, but you are also a fast-speaking person, and you've made a lot of disingenuous claims on this live, point blank, without bringing sources. Somebody makes one singular claim about Trump, and you say source, but you talk. I'm speaking so fast. My name is Dean. I'm speaking so fast, but I'm making disingenuous.
Chris, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love, Chris. Let's get some W Chris's in the chat for the $20 on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love.
Sources, people. I'll bring up my sources for every single claim that I said.
Okay, so first of all, Dylan, I'm gonna work from the up to the ground. I'm gonna respond to your last claim first. So when you're referencing like me not giving sources for what I'm saying, you as well as any other guest on my live are well within your right to ask me for evidence for what I'm saying. I will never stigmatize someone asking for evidence for a claim. Okay? So what you're saying here is not something I disagree with, and I will always, right, accept and even like inspire, right, people to like provide evidence for what they say and ask for evidence for what I or anyone else says. So now talking about everything else you said, I feel really bad for you. You're prepared. But let's see how prepared. So you were talking, I asked you how Biden caused inflation. You said like stimulus, government spending. So there's a greater increase in the M2 money supply under Trump's presidency than there was under Biden's presidency, as well as more stimulus to the economy. Trump approved a $2.3 trillion stimulus deal when Biden approved a $1.9 trillion stimulus deal. Debunked, okay? And then your second point, well, you said so much. Interest rates. We'll touch on the interest rates, okay? So who controls the interest rates?
I know Jerome Powell. I know it's not quite...
The feds. And why do we have high interest rates right now? Now, Dylan, let me finish. Why do we have high interest rates right now? We have high interest rates right now because that is a way to decrease consumer spending, which decreases inflation. Okay. And this was a response because of the global inflation that wasn't caused by the Biden-Harris administration, that was onset by the pandemic. And if you want to say that the Biden-Harris administration had a bad response to the global inflation, well, then you will have to explain how we had the best, quickest response to the inflation out of any country in the G7. And thank you for the epic JJ. When you're referencing gas prices, let's talk about that. How did the Biden-Harris administration cause gas prices to be higher?
Again, like I said, under Trump, we had a 50% increase in production of fuel and gas. Under Biden, it decreased.
Let's go. So you're talking about domestic oil production here at home in America? When you say that it decreased under Biden? One second. When you say that, one second. When I just want to respond to point by point. I want to debunk that. Let me respond to that.
That was my first point that I'm addressing for you.
Let me respond to that.
I want to go back. I want to roll back the clock to inflation.
Wait. sorry, I got to put you on pause because you talked about oil production, saying that it decreased under Biden's presidency. False. Go to the EIA. The U.S. is currently producing more oil than it ever has, and it's producing more oil than any country in the world ever has. It has not decreased since the Trump administration. It has increased. But now I want you to speak. That's the only reason I wanted to get in there, is because you said something that was really easy to prove false. But I'm not going to interrupt you. I understand I interrupted you there. I want you to be able to...
2017, 9.3 million barrels per day. 2018, 10.9 million barrels per day. And again, this is the EIA oil production in the United States. 2019, 12.2 million barrels per day. 2020, 11.3 million barrels per day. Decreased during Biden's presidency. 2021, 11.1. 2022, 10.6. That's all I can see from the EIA. Do you have 2023 and 2024? Because if you do, then I'm lying. But so far, 2019 and 2022, the last 2 years of Trump's presidency, it was 12.2, 11.3. But let's also talk about specific policies passed by Biden that may or may not have contributed. Again, what is that? Oh, but millions. That's 20. But let's talk about millions.
So here's just the graph from the EIA. Here's just I'm just trying to like show you here. So yeah, this is
okay. So
Biden's presidency. 1 second. So we're producing more oil right now than we ever have before.
But go.
Sorry, man. Sin, thank you so much for the subscription. He's gagged.
Go to the actual. Show that again.
Dude, I just showed it on my live. I took off my green screen. You could go to the crude oil production on the EIA website.
So, how many barrels a day was it? Go again. Let's do the math. It said what? 15,000?
13.2 thousand barrels a day.
So, if you do the math...
1 second, Dylan. So the peak of oil production under Trump's presidency was in December of 2019.
13,000 barrels per day. Multiply that by 365. That's only 4.8 million barrels.
Okay.
That's only 4.8 million barrels per year.
Hey, Dylan. So the peak of oil production under Trump's presidency was what month of what year? December
I don't know the
of
specific
2019.
month, but it was 12.2 million barrels.
So what is more production? Sorry. If you go to the EIA, right, it was 12.2 million barrels per month.
Per day.
And what,
per day.
Per day. So yeah. And what is the current oil production right now?
I don't know that. I'm saying personally, I don't know that.
3.2 million per day.
So 3.2 million versus 12.2 million.
Exactly.
That was higher under Trump. That was 2019.
No, we have 3.2 million today. We had 12.2 million in December of 2019.
So it decreased. Yes. What are you saying?
What's higher? 12.2 or 13.2
million barrels per day under
is
Trump
lower than 13.2 million barrels per day under Biden.
Okay, then on that I was incorrect.
You were.
But for the first 2 years that was not true.
Because why?
You tell me why.
The pandemic, the same pandemic that caused the 14.8% unemployment rate at the end of Trump's term.
Yeah.
So why would we blame that on the Biden-Harris administration?
I would say that has to be more to do with Fauci making outright false claims. But I also said I wanted to roll back the clock and talk about inflation as well.
How did the Biden-Harris administration cause inflation?
The American Rescue Plan, 1.9 trillion in stimulus package, right? That's
how much was the stimulus package approved under Trump's presidency?
Of Jobs and Act, this was a $1.2 trillion infrastructure spending
How
bill.
much stimulus was approved under Trump's presidency?
You tell me.
2.3 trillion.
2.3 trillion, so at 1.9 so far. in 21. Another 1.2
How much debt-related spending was added to our nation under Trump's
Not
presidency?
to mention the Inflation Reduction Act, which was the green energy subsidy, which increased demands for.
How much debt was added under Trump's
batteries.
presidency?
What was your question again?
How much debt was added under Trump's presidency?
You tell me.
$8.4 trillion. You want to know how much was added under Biden's presidency? $4.6 trillion. So when you're making the argument that things such as the infrastructure bill that approved $1 trillion in spending, or the American Rescue Plan that approved $1.9 trillion in spending under Biden's presidency caused inflation, well, obviously, you're going to fall flat on your face when you figure out that Trump's economy added more debt to the nation through his policy. 8.6 compared to 4.6.
What policies directly contributed to that debt?
Predominantly the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that spent $1.9 trillion of American taxpayers' money on giving 83% of these tax cuts to the top 1%, which only led to an average annual GDP increase of 0.02%.
So 2.3%, correct?
0.2%. Sorry, 0.02%.
Okay, and do you know how much combined the $1.9 trillion stimulus package and the 1.2 infrastructure spending bill, do you know how much that actually decreased our GDP?
How much did it decrease our GDP?
Not 0.02 that increased, it decreased 0.1.
Can you give me like a study from an economist that would demonstrate that these particular plans decreased our GDP?
So, do you understand how large our GDP is?
So, here's my issue.
So, how big is the American GDP?
Okay, he's asking me all these questions because he can't answer mine. So, the reason that I asked you this question...
What is the GDP? That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so it's going to be the gross domestic product. That's just how much people
No, what is that specific numbers? What were the rates?
Oh.
What is our actual GDP concurrently?
Oh, I don't know. Do you want me to look it up?
Why don't you know this off the top of your head, Dean? You know a lot of other things.
Bro, I do know a lot
the
about
actual
things.
economic numbers.
I don't know this off the top of my head.
Not the interest rates.
Okay. So you're right. I don't know our current GDP off the top of my head.
Where do you shop at?
Okay. So do you mind if I go back to what I was saying, or
I'm gonna
let you take the rein. Where do I shop at?
Where do you
Why?
shop at?
Why?
I shop at Julasco. I shop at Walmart, and I'll tell you, in 2020,
Wait, what is our current GDP, Dylan?
I've been eating the same.
Hey, Dylan, what is our current GDP?
What?
Fucking give me a fucking break.
2024 or 2023?
Right now.
Right now, USA GDP.
Give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break, Dylan. Give me a fucking break. Right. Oh, yeah.
Increased what? It increased to 1.6% so far.
Okay. So anyways, back to what I was saying, Dylan. So essentially what I was demonstrating here is you were making the claim that the Biden-Harris administration caused inflation. Demonstrably false. Okay. Right. It is the case that you said it was because of government spending. Guess what? There's a greater increase in the M2 money supply under Trump's presidency in comparison to Biden's. Then you went on to say that they caused inflation through debt-related spending. There's twice as much debt-related spending under Trump's administration in comparison to Biden's administration. 8.6 trillion in comparison to 4.6. Even if we ignore COVID-related spending under both presidencies, Trump still spent $4.6 trillion. Meanwhile, Biden has spent $2.2 trillion. So spending and debt aside,
what is that reflected? Where has that reflected to? You're talking all these fugazi numbers. What are they reflected to? I'm talking real life world. I'm talking rent. I'm talking the fact that even 4 years ago, rent was easier. Groceries
Okay,
were
yeah, sure. Let's
easier.
talk about real life
Getting
numbers.
Jobs
The
were
U.S. has
easier.
had
Unemployment rates were lower. You can't argue with that. You can't argue with the fact that I hit reorder from the same order in 2020. My basket was $243.19. Reordered the same basket of 40 items. My friend, it was $470. Point blank, period. And you cannot say, oh, that's corporate greed. No. That is not corporate greed.
Yeah, so
Again,
maybe Dylan,
I've named quite a
you're
few
trying.
policies passed under Biden. Again, Inflation Reduction Act, the fact that he killed Trump's tax cuts, not just for the average day consumer, majority for businesses, which ultimately allow them to not raise their prices. But the fact those direct tax cuts are the reason for the increased price on goods, the increased price on labor. Because I'll tell you, I personally sell concrete now. I switched over from selling cars. Okay, what used to cost a $6,000 driveway, I now have to charge customers $8, $9, $10,000 for the same exact work. Point blank period. The cost of living has gone up. Taxes have increased. I made 176 in 2021. Okay, my take home was 95. I made 136 this year. I made less on paper and I took home more.
Okay, I mean, first of all, I got a couple of people to thank for donos here. First of all, Candy, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for that love, Candy. Let's get some W Candies in that chat for the $20 on Venmo. That's so incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much for the love. And Charles, thank you so much for the $20 as well. Let's get some W Charles and some W Candies. And Roxy, thank you for the $2. GG, thank you for the $1. Roxy with another $2. And Gustavo with the $5. And Maya with a $10 on PayPal. Thank you so much, Maya. So yeah, just to go ahead and respond to your claims here real quick. W Charles, W Candy, W Maya.
Poverty rate 12.7% to 10.5%, increase from 12.9% to 13.4%. Home ownership increase from 64% to 65.4%, decrease from 65.4% to 64.8%. Median household income increased by 10.2%, increased by 6.2% under Biden. So 4% more under Trump. So labor first participation 62.7% to 63.4% to 62.7% under Biden. I could go on for days. Talk about food stamp, national food stamp usage in America increased. What is that? Proportionately 20.4% under Biden, and it decreased 11.4% under Trump. So what does that show? It shows that Americans are struggling more under Biden. They're applying for food stamps more. More people are applying for Section 8. I live in Chicago personally. I can't tell you how many times I'm driving around the city and illegal immigrants come up to me asking me for rides. I help a few of them out. But dude, it was like negative 10 degrees outside. There's people being shipped in from freaking Texas that came across the border that Kamala Harris let come across our borders, let them be shipped up to Chicago. They don't have jackets. They don't have boots. They're not prepared. They're coming to America. They're building brand new. You know what's corrupt about America? It's incentivized in New York City and in Chicago's for property developers to allocate new buildings that they're building.
Evan, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love, Evan. Let's get some W Evans in that chat for the $10 on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love. For the love of God, Dylan, can I respond to what the fuck you're saying?
So
You've been yapping for 5 minutes.
Incentivized for property developers to allocate new buildings for illegal immigrants than it is for Section 8. So why are we favoriting illegal immigrants, right? Section 8 is a program, a housing program.
Dylan, what's a Gish Gallop? Do you know what a Gish Gallop is?
What are you saying?
How do you expect me to be able to effectively respond to what you're saying when you speak for 5 minutes and bring up maybe 10 through 15 different points?
Oh, isn't that what you do? I'm just reflecting, baby. I'm doing the same thing you're doing.
No. You could say I talk a lot. You could say I bring up a lot of points. No. You are taking it to a whole new level. So
I'm just slow down in the speech. You talk really fast.
Hey, Dylan, do you want to have a productive line of dialogue with me? Or do you want to attempt to make yourself a martyr for the Republicans in chat and forsake productive dialogue
Spell martyr.
Do what Dean does?
Spell martyr, Dean.
No.
Can you?
No, I can't.
So, okay, what's the definition of martyr?
It's going to be like an individual that died for their religion, particularly defending it at the hand of a persecutor. I've said religion.
Yeah, somebody, Yeah, they got it in the comments.
Can I respond to your points?
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't even know where to, I don't even remember, okay, so I think one of the things that I remember you saying right, was part. Okay, dude, you brought up so much. See, this is why it's difficult. When you bring up all these different points, right, it makes my fucking gears turn in my head because I'm trying to track like 20, 30, 40 different things at once. But I mean, I know particularly one of the claims that you made is that Biden destroyed Trump's tax plan. When does Trump's tax plan end?
It was already abolished by the Biden administration.
False. It ends in 2027. We're still under it.
And in which one?
His Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
I don't think that was the specific policy I was referring to.
That is what the Trump tax plan was, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. It's in effect until 2027. There's no other tax plan or changes to federal tax code that Trump introduced outside of his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
I think that's false.
It's not. See how I only need 3 sentences?
No, because if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head, I mean, there was also individualized tax changes. I think like he increased the child tax credit from 1,000 to 2,000. You know what I mean? Like he's
within the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
There was also the business
within the
tax
Tax
changes.
Cuts and Jobs
So
Act.
Introduced 20% qualified income business. It was QBI.
Within the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. You said that Biden has removed and torn his tax cuts to shreds. His tax cuts do not end until 2027. Everything Donald Trump did to the tax code was within the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Those are separate policies that are
What's the name of the policy that introduced those modulations to the tax code?
So you're saying that those are modulations, correct? And
what is the name of the policy that introduced an increase in the standard deduction?
So the TCJA, show what that is.
Dylan, what is the name of the policy that increased the standard deduction? That's what the fuck I thought, bro.
Tell me what the
martyr?
You're not answering my question. I'm not going to answer your question.
The reason I'm not answering your question is because you're running away from mine. What is the name of the policy that Trump passed to increase the standard deduction? I'll give you a hint. Yeah. It's called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Yes. That's what the TCJA is?
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act does not expire until 2027, meaning we are still operating under Trump's tax code.
Again, my point that I'm trying to relay to you, Dean.
No,
and the
you
reason
said that Biden revoked. No, you're not responding. You said that Biden revoked Trump's tax code. You said he fucked with it. He removed it. Will you concede and admit that you're wrong?
Military legislation that is passed that oversteps Trump's legislation. That's what happens with policies.
How did Biden change the federal tax code?
There's other policies that influence the tax
What policy did Biden influence get passed that changed the federal tax code? There's not one. Silly.
And what is your problem with the TCJA?
We could go through that later.
Because I already said... Again,
hey Dylan, we could go through that in a bit after you concede that you were wrong about Biden changing his tax code.
Because before I rebuttal, I just wanted to hear everything you're saying clearly. That's why I slow down, because you keep coming. So this is my entire point. I already said prior hand, again, there's nothing that Biden did that interfered with the TCJA. That's why I'm asking you what that was. Okay, my point is I don't think there's anything negative that came from the TCJA. I said there's other legislation like the Inflation Reduction Act.
Hey, Dylan,
you're
doing it again. So I have a question. You just said that Biden didn't interfere with the TCJA, or otherwise understood as Trump's tax code. Earlier, you said that Biden interfered with Trump's tax code. How can it be true that Biden interfered and changed Trump's tax code without interfering and changing Trump's tax code?
Me, you're putting words in my mouth. You're muting me. You're putting words in my mouth. This is very disingenuous of you. But I will say, not to reiterate myself, I already said nothing Biden passed directly interferes with the TCJA. But I will say that there's other legislation that is passed under Biden administration that did directly overstep other legislation passed by Trump, not the TCJA. I personally think that
what legislation was influenced to get passed by the
tax code, and it also
legislation was
business investment.
What legislation was influenced to get passed under the Biden-Harris administration that changed Trump's tax plan?
Businesses to invest in America, to reduce tax and increase.
Answer my question. What legislation? So earlier you said that Biden destroyed Trump's tax code. How did Biden destroy Trump's tax code?
He increased taxes on businesses, which
really?
Again de-incentivized them.
What's the name of the bill or executive order that increased corporate tax rates federally?
Again, how many businesses do you know this one?
What's the name of the bill or executive order that changed the federal tax code and increased the corporate tax rate?
America. Let me
What's
ask,
that?
Businesses are taking.
What is the name of the policy that changed Trump's tax code and increased the corporate tax rate?
Repeat.
You don't know because it doesn't. Oh, really? What's the name of the policy that Biden influenced to get passed that changed Trump's tax code and increased the corporate tax rate?
When did I say that?
10 seconds ago.
I already said things like the Inflation Reduction Act. This puts more stress on businesses.
That's why you don't over prepare for debates, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, I will say I appreciate Dylan for like getting a paper ready, trying to come up here and destroy me. But there's such a thing as over preparing. Yeah. We're going to move on to our next guest, guys. If you're MAGA, just make sure to let me know in that chat, ladies and gentlemen. And Monica, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. That is absolutely so kind of you. Thank you so much for the love, Monica. Thank you so much. Let's get some W Monicas in that chat. Thank you so much. Massive W Monicas. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next guest. Let's go ahead and see what our next guest here has to say, guys. If we're in the queue, make sure that we're voting for Trump. We're going to go to get Eric up in here. And also, if you want to support me, my Venmo as well as my PayPal, they're both in my bio. I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. You get a notification that pops up at the top of my phone screen. I get a thank you, give you a shout out. I can even read your message out on live. So if you want to communicate a message to me, but we're going to go and move on to our next guest here. Gosh, damn, dude. Man, Dylan, that was crazy. That was crazy, brother. We're gonna look, Dylan. Don't let your ego be hurt too bad. You got a few fanboys in the chat. Don't worry. They'll support you to all ends. We're gonna go to move on to our next guest here, guys. If you want to come up and debate, just let me know in the chat. Honestly, no one is really loading up from the queue. That's why I think it's just so important for me to load people up from the chat. All right. So everyone, just give us a minute here, y'all. If you're MAGA, just let me know in that chat. All right, everyone, just give us a minute. I don't know why no one is spamming MAGA in the chat. There we go. Now they're starting to come in. Here we are. All right, let's go and get our next guest up in here, y'all. Everyone, just give us a minute. Still looking for someone. Trying to load anybody in. All right, we got our next guest loading in. Here we go. What's up? How old are you?
33. How about you?
How old am I? I'm 19. Are you voting for Trump?
I am this year.
Why do you want to grape us in the Oval Office?
I think he stands for America, and I am really disappointed about how the Democrats have handled themselves pretty much the last couple terms.
Yeah, I have a question. How can Trump stand for America when he denied the outcomes of our civil and electoral processes in 2020, saying that the election was rigged with no evidence, telling his VP not to certify the results of the election, and then Mike Pence turned against him because Mike Pence went on record saying that Trump wanted Mike Pence to put Trump above the Constitution? You're telling me this man stands for America?
Like when Hillary Clinton also said the elections weren't legitimate because of the Russia interference, what actually ended up being not true.
So, I mean, there's a huge difference between what Trump did and what Hillary Clinton did. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that Hillary Clinton did the same thing as Trump. That would mean that Hillary Clinton, just like Trump, didn't stand for America.
Right.
I don't even want to go through
Democrat.
how she conceded. I don't even want to go through how it wasn't the same thing. I don't even want to go through how she didn't send fake electors to states to cast fake votes towards the Electoral College. I don't even want to go through how Trump told his VP not to certify the results of the election. I don't even want to go through how 4 years later Trump still hasn't conceded to the results of the election, and after being disproven by 60 courts of laws, including 17 courts with judges that he appointed, he still says it was stolen. We don't even need to go through that all, because if Hillary Clinton did the same exact thing as Trump, I would simply say that Hillary Clinton, just like Trump, doesn't stand for America. Okay? But that's it. There's a big difference. So you said Trump stands for America. Yep. Absolutely false.
See, I would disagree. This is just differences of opinions. I believe Trump is looking after the best interests of the American people.
How can Trump try to stand for America when he tried to undermine our democracy in the ways that I listed?
Because there may have been some sketchy stuff actually going on.
Really? So 60 courts, including 17 courts with judges that Trump appointed, disagree with you. Give me evidence that would dictate that there was sufficient voter fraud in the 2020 election to overturn it.
Sorry, one more time, say that again?
Give me any evidence that there's sufficient voter fraud in 2020 to overturn the results of the election.
I mean, I don't know if there's sufficient to overturn it necessarily, and that's not what I'm arguing for. But in Arizona, I believe it was, they found ballot stuffing.
Wait, Trump claimed that there was sufficient voter fraud to overturn the election. That's why he denied it and tried to get his VP not to certify it. If you agree that there wasn't sufficient voter fraud for it to be overturned, well, then you would recognize that Trump did pose as a threat to democracy because he didn't want his VP to certify the results of the election, sent fake electorates to state to cast false votes to the Electoral College, and convinced tens of millions of American citizens that there was sufficient voter fraud for it to be effectively overturned, even though he was disproven by 60 courts. How can you say as an individual that disagrees with him here that this doesn't stand against America?
Well, I also would take the consideration that Kamala Harris was not voted in the primaries. So if you voted for Biden, right? Well, this is kind of the whole going back to believing in America.
So she was voted she was voted on Biden's ticket as the VP. What would happen if Biden died right now? Who would be running for re-election?
Of course, but
what's the difference between him dying and stepping down, insofar as one being anti-America and one being in accordance with the Constitution?
Because there's no opportunity for Democrats to choose another person outside of Kamala or Biden.
Wait, but
the Democrats made that decision for you.
We'd say the same if he were to die. Would that be anti-American if Biden were to die and she were to run for president?
No, but that's a different situation.
What's different? Because there's no say of the Democrats for them to vote for her.
Well, it's a little odd just thinking about the series of events that have sort of happened over these last couple of weeks and the timing of this all.
Do you recognize how you're pivoting from what I was asking you about Trump to pivoting to Kamala? You made the claim that Trump stands for America. I'm telling you that claim was false because he denied the outcome of the 2020 election, asked his VP not to certify the results of the election. His VP left him because his VP said that he wanted that Mike Pence said that Trump wanted him to place Trump above the Constitution. Same story for the other 34 members of his cabinet. Sent fake electorates to states to cast false votes in the Electoral College. How can you say this man stands for America when everything I just said is true?
Because he wants to bring manufacturing back to America. He wants to get out of these wars. And I know I'm going to other topics.
But he doesn't stand for liberalism. He doesn't stand for the peaceful transfer of power. He doesn't stand for our electoral and civil processes insofar as electing individuals into public offices because of what they vote for. He tried to thwart that. He literally tried to thwart that. Get it through your skull. He tried to thwart that. He told his VP not to certify the results of the election. Yes, yes, this is the largest wide-scale attack on democracy since the Civil War. There's not been a single Democrat that has sent fake electorates to states to cast false votes in our Electoral College. There's not been a single Democrat that told their VP not to certify the results of an election. There's not been a single Democrat that lost their VP and 34 members of their cabinet because he asked them to put him above the Constitution. There's not been a single Democrat that was proven wrong by 60 courts that the election wasn't rigged and then still continued to perpetuate that message, didn't concede and convince tens of millions of American citizens. But even if there was 2 infinite Democrats that did do all these same things that Trump did, this wouldn't mean that Trump is all of a sudden pro-America. It would just mean that Trump stands against America alongside all those other Democrats.
So you believe Trump is trying to destroy America from within by destroying this quote unquote democracy, even though the Democrats historically pushed out Bernie Sanders. They said Russia interference.
I'm done with all this. I'm done with all this. What did I just say? I went through how no Democrats fails in comparison to Trump. And then even there at the end, I said, if there was a Democrat, that would simply make the Democrat anti-American too. What don't you get about this? You lack the abstract thinking ability to even have a conversation with me. That doesn't make Trump pro-America. That just makes also Democrats anti-America.
Okay, so we have two anti-American parties. What do we do now?
Bro, no, like I already said, we haven't had a Democrat deny the outcome of an election with no sufficient evidence and not concede when 60 courts prove that he was wrong. We haven't had a Democrat cause an insurrection. We haven't had a Democrat send fake electorals to states to cast false votes in the Electoral College. We haven't had a Democrat tell their VP not to certify the results of the election and then lose the VP and 34 other cabinet members because he asked them to put him above the Constitution. We have not had a Democrat do that. Don't conflate.
We have had, there's evidence out there of some ballot stuffing, and whether that was true or not, I'm not going to get into that conspiracy. Truthfully, I think the election was legit last time. I'm just admitting that. But again, if we're going to have the hypocrisy about not caring about America, and my choices are the Democrats who historically push people out, question elections, and we also have the Republicans who do that, then what the hell are we doing here?
Questioning the results of an election is not anti-democratic. Denying them with no evidence and then going on to continue to perpetuate that same message even when you're disproven by 60 courts, that is.
Right. And I mean, obviously the court system I know they're Trump appointed. There's plenty of questions around there,
Moving on to the next guest. I told him the same thing 20 times in a row. He couldn't engage with it and just and continue to repeat the same bullshit narrative. See, that's what's annoying about some of these MAGA cultists. They don't care about the facts. They don't care about the truth. And they don't even care about engaging in good faith conversation. Chat, how many times did I respond to that same claim that he continued to repeat? What's up? How old are you?
Hey, I'm 18. I'm 18.
Where are you from?
I'm from Australia.
All right. Well, I'm only talking to individuals. Re-request. Yeah, if you could vote, you're good. Re-request, man. I'll let you back up next. You said you live in America. Re-request. I got you. Hey, what's up? How old are you? All right, they automatically left. We're going to move on to our next guest here, y'all. Everyone just do give us a minute. And if you do want to support me, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are on my bio, y'all. I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. We're going to get our next guest, Bo, up in here right now, y'all. The last guy. Re-request, please. I'll let you back up. All right, moving on to our next guest, y'all. If you are MAGA and you want to come up and debate, just let me know in that chat. All right, hey, what's up? How old are you? Chris, hello? All right, Chris isn't here. All right, that's why we pull from the chat. Everyone just kind of give us a minute here, y'all. Everyone just give us a minute here, guys. We're going to get our next guest up in the box, y'all. Also, make sure to double tap on that phone screen and to take this live and to share it out with a couple friends here today, guys, while we do get our next guest up in the live, everyone. We're going to go ahead and try to get our next guest up. K-A-Y, you say women for 2024 for Trump? Please join. I'd love to talk to you. We're going to move on to our next guest. Yeah, if you're a woman and you're voting for Trump, I would love to debate you. But we're going to move on to our next guest here, y'all. Everyone just be patient. Sometimes this is a bit of an annoyance to try to get guests loaded up in here, y'all. I know, it is rough, guys. Be patient. Hey, what's up? How old are you?
Yes, I'm 32.
Are you voting for Trump?
I'm leaning towards voting for Trump over Kamala, yes.
Okay, yeah. So why are you voting for Trump?
Because I think Kamala is a worse option for my community.
Why so?
Because of the history of her policy history, what she's actually executed while she was in office is deplorable, which is why she couldn't even get her own
thank
state.
Thank you for the one subscription. Go ahead.
She couldn't get her own. She came in, I think, 5th place in her own state when she ran for president. She couldn't even get out of her own state because of her deplorable history.
So what about her history was deplorable towards the African American?
The way she went after people who did marijuana, and then she laughed about it when she did. She kept.
Sorry, I gotta kick you because you said the M word. However, just to clarify, so yeah, at the time that the M drug was like illegal in the state of California, she prosecuted 45 people for that. She was doing her job. But she like led the end on the war on drugs in the context of the U.S. in 2014, advocating for it to become federally legal, and then co-signed legislation in 2018 while she was in the Senate to legalize it federally. But you said the name of it, the M drug. I'm gonna go ahead and continue to our next guest here, y'all. Hey, what's up? How old are you?
45.
Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So how do you expect Trump to effectively legislate for the thoughts, wants, needs, and desires of all 170 million American girls and women in the context of the U.S. when he's done anything but give a shit about them in his vehemently sexist past?
No, I'm gonna say this right now. A lot of people, okay, I'm gonna say it like this. A lot of people in America, okay, because media, I'll be real, is our number one enemy. That is a one narrative television. So
it has nothing to do with false bias reporting.
What I'm trying to say, sir, is that it's one narrative. It's a one narrative. It's just one. It's what you see that's the truth. That's it. And every television, local, the CNN, whatever, who's ever one narrative. Okay, that's what you guys are going based off. I did a little bit more of research.
Hey man,
and I've been researching for
quick.
5 years.
I just want to clarify.
But I'm going to say this, sir. Wait, I'm just trying to let you know. I'm going to say this. The media about this sexist shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. About this sexist stuff. All this stuff about how you got to look at it. It's one narrative. Everything, the way you guys are believing, it's from the media. It's all one narrative. Everything. Okay. It's a narrative.
You've said this enough times already. Okay.
Yeah. So all I'm gonna say is that is why your perception is the way it is.
Thank you for the boxing tips, Trent. So I'm gonna go ahead and inform you when I'm referencing a sexist history of Donald Trump. I'm not referencing a false narrative portrayed by media outlets. I'm referencing a court that held him civilly liable for the rape of E. Jean Carroll in the year 1996. I'm referencing an audio clip of him saying that he wants to date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years.
Can I ask you one question?
No, stop, please. I'm referencing Sirius XM, where he boasted on air to Howard Stern about walking into the changing rooms of teen girls at Miss Teen USA because he owned the place while they're half naked with girls being as young as 15 there. I'm talking about the Access Hollywood tapes where Trump boasted about unconsensually grabbing women by the P word because they all threw themselves at him. Okay. This is sexism. This is misogyny.
Can I ask you one question?
Rape. This is rape culture. This is violence. This is harm.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
This is disrespect to women.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Have you ever seen on the news regarding his daughter, a diary that came out, okay?
Ashley Biden's diary is not relevant to Kamala versus Trump.
I'm being real, like with all this too, you know. And then I found out, because I live in California, I found out as well as I'm researching, Camellia. I found out that she slept in departments to get herself where she's at. There's a lot of things when she put these men in jail. She put them in jail for petty, for the whatever. Like you guys are talking about the drugs. I get it, but she does not have a good reputation in California.
So the reason you don't care about Donald Trump's misogyny isn't because you don't think it is.
Well, can I say something?
The reason you don't care about Donald Trump's misogyny is because you engage in the same deliberate harm towards women.
Can I say something?
As a woman yourself, it is called internalized misogyny.
Can I ask you one question?
When you say the only reason that Kamala is in the position that she's in is because she slept with men, that is absolutely false, 110%.
No, it's not, sir. How old are you?
Hey, I have a question.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
How old are you? For real?
I'm 19. If it is the case...
Okay, you're not... See, I'm an older person, so I've lived more than you have lived. and you're young. You can't make me look like I'm stupid because I'm 45. There's no way. You got to understand, I have lived longer and have experienced more in life. I understand you're going for what you're saying, but I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be real with you on this, okay? As far as Camilla, I'm gonna talk about her for a minute.
Her name's Kamala.
These past 4 years, she has not been going to the border like she says. She's been blowing it off, okay? That's the truth. That's a fact.
Her name is Kamala.
On the news. It's on the news, and she even says it. So I'm not gonna sit here and color code things. Do you know down the street from where I live, because we got aliens coming in from 160 countries, flying in with an app that Biden Harris made. They decided to make together. Okay, we got 160 countries flying in, coming in. Do you know down the street from where I live in California, there was 3 girls, one from Sacramento, one from Bakersfield, one from Fresno, and one from somewhere up north, okay? These girls were bound in a white van with 3, they're from a different country, these men. And these girls were going to get sent. There is so much, you don't even understand, sir. There is so much. These kids shouldn't be, any of our American kids should not be walking the streets. There's so much kids snatching. There's sex trafficking bad. These men ain't coming here for a better life. These girls were bound in a van. And this is.
Hey, Lena, are you a natural born U.S. citizen?
Yes, I am.
You are 4 times more likely to commit a violent crime than an undocumented migrant.
I haven't. I have a good record.
Statistically speaking, you are 4 times more likely to commit an undocumented crime than an
I'm 45. Why would I commit why would I commit something now? But why?
Okay, I'm gonna go
older now. I don't.
I'm gonna go
maybe
and
in my
respond.
20s.
I'm gonna okay. I'm gonna go to respond to what you're saying here. So first of all,
there's no point.
Okay, Lena, can you listen to me now the same way I've been listening to you? Is that fair?
Go for
it. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Lena, awesome. So first of all, the ages, I'm saying because I'm 19, I don't know anything and you're older.
Yes.
Lena, I am 19.
Yes.
I'm
not
more than
stupid either. I'm not a dumb woman. I mean, I'm an older woman. They say older, wiser.
Okay. Hey,
well, yeah.
I maybe half your age, but I am twice as wise. Second point, when you're talking about immigration, we need to consider a couple things here. First of all, calling humans aliens is dehumanizing rhetoric. No, what you want to do is you want to devalue and demonize everybody coming across the southern border. That's why you call them aliens, and that's why you call them kid snatchers. And it's gross. And this is what oppressing classes
can I actually
always no Lena, remember I'm speaking. This is what oppressing classes have always done to underrepresented, marginalized classes. What they do is they dehumanize them, and what they do is they demonize them. You dehumanize them by calling them aliens, and you demonize them by calling them violent criminals.
Okay,
and it's gross. Another thing about immigration. Another thing about immigration here, right? So, back in the day, right, thousands of years ago, we had tribes. When a tribe's water well would dry up, what would the tribe do? The tribe would move. When a tribe's buffalo supply would dry up, what would the tribe do? The tribe would move. When a tribe's living conditions, when the environments would get harsh for living, what would the tribe do? The tribe would move. So when we're referencing immigration across the southern border from countries that are in states of economic despair, countries that are in a state of not providing even a minimum quality of life to the individuals within them, what do? They move. But the difference between 2,000 years ago and today is that we have arbitrary borders to delineate between the countries.
I'm going to tell you.
Even if we're talking about the immigration issue as it stands, right, we need to point out the fact that we have the same amount of daily crossings over the southern border today as we did at the end of Trump's term in January of 2021.
I've seen videos where there is kids that they're bringing over the border that they've brought from south, from Mexico, wherever they came from. These kids were drugged up and they would wipe their mouth. The people that are crossing our border, because the patrol is asking them questions, and they're putting their saliva into the kids. The kids are all drugged up. What right now? I was trying to finish the situation up north. They had a gang of people that it was on the news, and they reported it, but the news is just being really quiet about it. I don't like that. They need to make this a situation where it's serious. There was a warehouse of people that are being sex trafficking, and they actually arrested the people in there and rescued the people in a warehouse up north. Another thing as well, those girls, like I was trying to tell you, when IHS worker went down there, and she went to hear some girls screaming in a van. Okay, this is like down from my street, and I don't live in a bad neighborhood, but it was to a local store, and basically what happened was these girls were screaming. The IHSS went over there. These 3 guys were in the van, and she goes, "What are you guys doing?" All of a sudden, the girls goes, "Oh, help us!" And then, so the 2 guys ran out the van. The other guy stayed in. They were actually going to get sent onto a boat and get.
Shut the fuck up. Okay, like, be so fucking for real. I'm cutting you off and I'm responding. This is the most annoying shit I've ever had. This is insufferable. My ears hurt. They're bleeding. God damn. Okay, everything you just said. Don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Never heard it. Ever. Want to know the facts? Okay. The facts are natural-born U.S. citizens are 4 times more likely to commit violent crimes. Even if everything you just said was true, we see the same violent crimes at higher proportionalities from natural U.S.-born citizens, okay? Secondly, when we're talking about the border crisis, right, the Biden-Harris administration tried to pass 2 bipartisan border bills through the House and the Senate, right? Trump called the Republican lawmakers in Congress, told them to vote against the bills because he didn't want to make the Democrats look good, and he even told his own supporters to blame it on him at one of his rallies. If the border crisis is so bad, if people are dying, if people are drugged up, if people are getting sex trafficked, if these are truly violent, terrible criminals that are posing such a great threat to American people, what does this tell you about Trump when he thwarts bills that would stop the crisis because he doesn't want the Democrats to look good? See how contradictory the worldview is when you start considering all of these things? Another consideration here is, well, you'll say that the criminal justice system is so unreliable because they have unfairly persecuted Donald Trump. So unreliable. But all of a sudden, when we're talking about the undocumented migrants, it's so reliable, okay? Another point here. You're a woman, okay? Donald Trump elected 3 justices to the Supreme Court specifically to overturn Roe v. Wade, which puts the rights and access to health care of all 170 million American women and girls in our country at risk. Why would you vote for a man who did this? Lena, you gotta unmute. I'll send you a request to unmute, but just click on your profile picture and click the icon of the mic. There you go.
All I'm gonna say is the states are the ones to decide, not Donald Trump. The states decide whatever the women's rights are. Okay, it's not.
Should the states have the power to decide if women have the right to vote?
The state are the state. It's not just Donald Trump. It's the state. It's
Should the state be able to have the power to decide if women have the right to vote?
If they want, no, they don't. Nobody has. You don't. It's not forced to vote. Nobody doesn't have to like.
I'm asking you about the right to vote. Should states be able to legislate?
Well, if they have the legal rights as United States citizen, obviously that's one. They have legal documentation.
Should states have the ability to decide if the women presiding within the state have the right to vote?
It's up to the state. I can't answer for the state.
Should states have this right? It's also not, right? But anyways, should states have this right?
The state is our state. They're going to decide on what they want to do. Every state decides what they want to do, whether we vote for it, against it, or not. It doesn't. So all I'm going to say is I can't.
I'm losing my goddamn mind.
It's not even about. I can't say if the state can.
Ethan, thank you so much for the $20 on PayPal for Dean losing his mind. Thank you so much for the love, Ethan. So incredibly kind of you. Yes, I'm fucking losing my mind. I'm losing my shit. Sometimes I suffer on these lives. I persevere. I love what I do. But I suffer. No way! Someone in the chat just said I lost the debate with Lena? I can't. Hey, how old are you?
Me?
Yeah, you're driving right now. Sorry, man. Sean, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal for losing my mind. Thank you so much for the love, Sean. Let's get some W Seans in that chat. I really appreciate you for the love. Massive W Seans, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Massive W Seans, guys. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing it. 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 I'm losing my shit. We're gonna move on to our next guest, y'all. But massive W Sean's for real. All right, moving on, guys. Everyone, just give us a minute. If you want to come up here and debate, just let me know in that chat. All right, let's go and see what our next guest here has to say. Let's go and get our next guest up in here. Let's go and see what Dan the man has to say, y'all. Everyone, just do give us a minute while we're loading up our next guest. Also, guys, how would y'all feel about heading over to Parker's stream here soon and hitting with co-hosts? Let me see one in the chat for yes, two in the chat for no. What's up, Dan? How old are you?
33.
33, awesome. Are you voting for Trump?
Voting for Trump, live in Chicago, yep.
Okay, why so?
His policies are going to be better. He's going to bring back our money from Ukraine. We're not going to be funding that bull anymore.
Do you know why we're funding Ukraine?
Yeah, I don't care, dude. Regardless of what you think Putin's going to do in Russia, it's not going to happen under Trump. So,
yo, Ron! Thank you so much for the $50 on Venmo, Ron. Oh my God, let's go. That is so kind of you. Thank you so much. Let's get 1 second. I apologize. Let's get at least 100 W Rons in that chat for the $50 on Venmo. That is crazy. And thank you so much for the love. And Casey, thank you so much for the $5. But massive W Rons and W Cases as well. Thank you for the $5. Holy crap, Ron, you're the man. Thank you so much. So the reason you should care about funding Ukraine is because it's just us upholding our end of a contractual agreement that we made with them in the 90s. It was called the Budapest Memorandum. And essentially what it says, if they gave up their nukes, then thank you so much for the Galaxy, Dylan, is that we would defend them by giving them money and weapons if they were ever invaded by another country. Guess what? They gave up their nukes. Guess what? They got invaded by another country. Right? So, of course, we're going to have to uphold our end of that contractual agreement because guess what? If we don't, well, all of a sudden we become unreliable and not credible to other global adversaries that we may want to reach denuclearization
It doesn't matter.
agreements with.
It really does not matter. We support the entire world already. If we did not follow up with that contract, nobody would care.
Well, it would decrease our credibility to the thought of like North Korea. What it would do is it'd make countries like Iran or North Korea not see us as credible or reliable and like making agreements. So like they won't even step foot in the negotiation room for a denuclearization agreement.
Maybe you're like low in testosterone or something, but I don't think you realize what the brunt of that whole contractual agreement and conversation is because it's completely different.
Low in testosterone, buddy. I mog you. Are you kidding me? Let me see the jawline. Little bro.
Yeah, okay.
That's what the fuck I thought. Yeah. Let me see the jawline.
Dude.
Yeah, what's your bench, buddy?
My
fuck
what?
I thought. That's right. Marina, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love. Thank you so much. W Marina.
What's your number,
in the
bro?
chat.
Mine's 1,200. What's yours?
1,200? You bench
Yeah.
you
No,
bench
my number,
1,200
bro.
pounds?
You don't even know what a number is? Okay.
Nanograms per deciliter?
Yeah, no, it's called bench, squat, deadlift. What's yours? That's what.
Oh yeah, I'm rocking a steady 1750 right now.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, Joshua, thank you for the 10 gram. Thank you for the $10 on PayPal for the testosterone. Thank you much for the love.
Let's get to the point here.
Oh, sorry, buddy. I just had to step in here and put you in your place after you didn't listen to me.
You're not even letting me say what I'm trying to say. You're just fucking spouting bullshit.
Buddy, I was educating you.
Shut up for a second and then I can actually say what I'm trying to say. Because the Democrats are putting money in place and for things that we shouldn't even fucking be funding. Kamala Harris voted against the National Defense Authorization Act twice. Something that would fund our troops completely. It's a very simple bill. It's a very short bill.
Shauna, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Thank you for the love, Shauna.
We'd rather fucking put our money towards Ukraine. We'd rather
spend it towards illegal immigrants, and then all this other bullshit with Biden's infrastructure bill that where all that money went to Ukraine. You think that that's better than us coming here, drilling in our own fucking country, making ourselves self-reliant?
Tallulah, thank you for the $5 on Venmo for the testosterone fund. Thank you for the love, Tallulah.
On people and companies from China, or that doing business with China, or getting our car manufacturing back from Mexico, getting our regular manufacturing back from China, not buying Russia or buying Iranian fucking oil, Saudi oil. Like, that's not better for the country to be self-reliant. It's better for us to just keep throwing money at the rest of the world and not be self-reliant. How does that make any sense?
We're producing more oil here at home in America than any country that has ever existed has.
Okay, sure. And he wants to actually make other countries buy oil from us.
And he made
That's what
the
he's
American
going to do.
and he yeah, so he sold our reserves when oil was at a high price and then refilled them when it was at a low price and generated $26 billion of profit for our country. I just think it's incredibly funny that you're going to come into this space not having the necessary education on these issues, and then when
What do you mean? You never asked me anything.
And then
What do I not?
And then when I try to give it to you by engaging in these conversations, inspiring you as well as others to engage in critical thought, you just like say that I have low testosterone levels, right? Of course, I was like being satirical and like being a little bit like, like a little bit outrageous earlier, saying that I mog you, talking about my jawline. I mean, I was just joking, man. Listen, at the end of the day, what matters is you're saying that the Democrats send money to places where it shouldn't be. You reference the funding of Ukraine. We should absolutely be funding Ukraine. Funding Ukraine is putting America first for the reason that it is us upholding our end of a contractual agreement that we made with them in the 90s. If we don't uphold our end of the said contractual agreement, we have no potentiality of entertaining denuclearization agreements with other foreign adversaries such as North Korea or Iran, because they won't even step foot in the negotiation room with us, because we will be uncredible, we will be unreliable, and we will have a track record of not honoring denuclearization agreements. This only puts America's citizens at a higher risk, because all of a sudden we as a country are unable to make these denuclearization agreements with others. Additionally here, who the fuck are you, a Trump supporter, going to be in a place to speak about spending money? $8.6 trillion added to the national debt under Trump, $4.2 trillion added to the national debt under Biden. $4.6 trillion added in non-COVID related spending under Trump, $2.2 trillion added in non-COVID related spending under Biden. The Biden-Harris administration has influenced some of the most monumental legislation in modern U.S. history for the American people. Chips and Science Act, going to bring 20% of the global chip reduction here at home in America by 2030 when we're currently producing zero. PACT Act, investing $800 million in VA healthcare benefits to extend access to over 1 million more veterans. Inflation Reduction Act, investing millions of dollars into renewable energy resources to reduce inflation long-term and to counteract climate change. Infrastructure bill, investing $1 trillion in infrastructure here at home in America, causing a boom in manufacturing job under Biden's term in comparison to Trump's. Fuck do you got now?
All of them should be 100% for it. If they're from the United States, I was talking that entire time. I didn't know you muted me. But anybody, any senator, any congressman, anybody that's in a position of power that could vote for that in the Senate should vote for that. Yes. Anything that has to do with making our infrastructure better, anything domestically helping this country should be done. Anything for the veterans, should be done.
And what did Trump do for the American people? He was president, try to undermine our democracy and help the 1%.
Sure he did.
How did that benefit the working class?
This is the point here, okay? So he might have benefited himself just as well as all these other politicians did, 100%. They all do it. I'm more interested in what his policies are going to be going forward and the promises that he's making. If he, let's put it this way.
Sure. No, Dan, we can talk about that too.
Wait. If I vote for him and he does not do the things that he says he's going to do the first day of office, deport all the illegals. If he doesn't start drill baby drill like he said he was going to do. And
we're drilling for more oil here at home in America today than we did under Trump's presidency, because the Biden-Harris administration has approved 50% more drilling permits. Additionally, when we're talking about the border crisis, tariffs. He thwarted 2 border bills from being passed through Congress because he didn't want the Democrats to look good. He even said to blame it on him at one of his rallies. After Biden's executive order, fallings have decreased 44%, giving us the same levels today as a result the end of Trump's term. Third point, what he has, his prospect for America is replacing federal income tax with tariffs, which are inflationary as all hell, and equally would make life harder for the working class as well as the lower quintile. Not to mention that he's a rapist, not to mention that he's a felon, not to mention that he's a racist, not to mention that he's a misogynist.
It depends on how they invoke the tariffs. We used to have tariffs for the first like 300 or 200 years of the country, or whatever the hell it was.
Wait, 1 second. I could explain this, Dan. So when we have like a new country, such as like we predominantly relied on tariffs for the first 200 to 300 years, that's because that is economically viable to pursue like what do you call it? Like infrastructure and manufacturing and production of goods in said country, right? And when you're first starting a country, you have to push
can I just stop you for 1 second?
Goods
You're
inside of the
trying
country.
to explain everything like we don't know anything, and I'm just going to let you speak because you just keep trying to explain everything.
It's
like
just
I don't
not
know,
what I'm
rather than
explaining.
just having a
Is it was
conversation. You're
economically
explaining
viable
it
for the
as well. You're like it's like you're saying a definition and then explaining the definition. It's ridiculous.
What I'm explaining here is that it was economically viable for the first 200 to 300 years. However, it's not economically viable now. And obviously, yes, sorry, I'm just assuming that you need to have your hand held, right? Because you made that incredibly bullshit claim, right? Like, yeah, tariffs are inflationary. They'd hurt the middle class. All economists agree. He wants to tariff goods imported from China 60 to 100% instead of flat rate 10% on all.
Okay, this guy's not letting me talk, and if we could just have a conversation, that'd be great. But we're just gonna do a definition, then define the definition because we're just gonna assume people don't know what the definition is. It's ridiculous. This is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. Like, honestly,
so you admit that you're undereducated. You admit.
Yeah, it's fucking.
Okay, of course he slurs, and of course he slurs. See, there's the pipe. There's the MAGA script, ladies and gentlemen. They lose a debate, give him some baby bottles in the chat, and then they slur. Old man Dan, I know more than you. How does it feel? All right, guys. We're gonna go. This is Roid Rage. We're gonna go ahead and send a raid over to Parker, y'all. So if y'all would spam Parker get a real job in the chat, that'd be very beneficial. Thank you so much for the fruit friends as well. Actually, I think he's banned on there. No, he isn't. Yeah, if you guys could spam at Parker get a real job in the chat, we're gonna go ahead and send him a raid, right? And let's go ahead and co-host. So spam at Parker get a real job so I could go ahead and pin it. All right, Catherine, I appreciate you. All right, so everyone head over to at Parker get a real job on TikTok. Right? Spam Dean raid in the chat. We're going to go ahead and raid him and we're going to co-host with him. So he's running literally the same topic that we are right now. I'm not going to end my debates for the day. We're just simply going to move them all over to his account. So for everybody in here right now, head over to Parker's stream, at Parker Get a Real Job, spam Dean raid in the chat, and I will be following y'all very shortly. Additionally here, if you've enjoyed the streams, make sure to hit that follow button. I go live every day, predominantly not on this account, but we've had fun. But yeah, I will see y'all over there on his account very shortly. Everyone head over there, at Parker Get a Job. Love you all. See you guys in like a minute.
Baby boo. Let me know which one you like, Picky. Or we can do the Be the Strain if you like. Bingo box also available. Are you still here, honey? Here's a Chalcedony choker for $5. $5 choker. Chunky Dream Tiger Eye, Blue Tiger Eye for 11. Blue Tiger Eye bracelet. This is a 15mm for $11. Blue Tiger Eye. Fasted pyrite for $8. 14mm pyrite for $8. Right here. And here, purple mica for $4 each. Purple mica. Soft Bengal purple mica for $4. Chunky Peter side for 17 ladies from Unpaid Basket. This is a 15mm blue Peter side, round bead for $17.